What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one, a special one for the first episode of Dolphins After Dark. As you can see, there's an empty box because we're waiting for the fifth man. Still waiting on you. Tick, tick, tick,
Where
tick.
you at, baby? Where you at?
The big time's calling. Don't fold. So we're out here. Basically, guys, what we're doing with this is going to be everything on the table. Anything goes. We're throwing it back a little bit here. We were actually originally going to go live on Christmas Eve, but everyone was a little twisted. It was one of those nights. Your boys up building toy sets. And so here we are, gentlemen, waiting on our fifth man to arrive. But, you know, hey, it feels good to be back here for a sec. We got Reason, EM, and Ballgame back. A little like 3/5 of the original Tuesday night panel with
I know
with the fourth horseman Martin and waiting on the fifth to arrive. I mean, what's up, boys?
bro. It feels it's like old times, right? Me and Ballgame, like we talked earlier privately, all of us, and I hadn't talked to Ballgame kind of in a while. So to hear Ballgame, to us to engage the way we used to, bro, it just felt like, old times, bro. Like nobody skipped a beat. The same, quality, conversations that we have, and the going back and forth, the spirited engagements. You know what I mean? It was like old times, bro. So it feels fucking amazing, right? To be sitting here with you gentlemen, right? Again, Ballgame, it's like old times. Reason, it's like old time fellas. Let's get this shit popping, baby. Let's get it popping.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, I mean, we kind of talked a lot earlier today and covered a lot, but let's rehash some of that. But the first thing I actually started off with, and then we went down a big rabbit hole. And guys, listen, this is Dolphins After Dark because we're not just going to talk Dolphins. When I mean we talk everything, I mean, you are going to get backstage type of conversation where if it segues and we go off the rails, we go off the rails, but we'll always come back. All right. I want you to know, but the After Dark, anything goes here. So we're going to get into it all, but all right, let's start off with this. Cause I mean, this is something I got to ask you guys. Cause I mean, obviously it's Ravens week. We saw what the Ravens did yesterday to San Francisco, man. This is a big game, and I a big win on Christmas Eve. If you are watching the gambling odds, it propped Tua back up into the top 4. He went from like 7 to 4 in terms of betting odds for MVP. You saw what Lamar Jackson did yesterday. Are we talking about a game that could not only decide first place in the AFC, but are we talking about a game that could decide who the actual MVP of the NFL is by the end of the season? Is that what's on the line? Now, I know people are going to talk about Josh Allen and 40 touchdowns, but unless by some miracle they come back, I mean, if we win this weekend, it's over. I mean, we clinch the AFC East. So where are you guys at with that? I mean, this is a big game. There's personal implications. There's, accolades on the line, but also winning is what matters at the point. But is this a game where the MVP is on the line as well as the first seed in the AFC?
I would agree 1,000%. Right? We have the Ravens. Obviously, we know where they are sitting. They're in the number 1 seed. As of right now, as we're having this conversation, right? We're number 2. They're one game up on us, right? But in terms of the MVP conversation, gentlemen, like, listen, no shade at Lamar Jackson, right? We all know the nature of the MVP award, right? It's a individual. Obviously, you got to have the individual resume. Also, it's a team, a team award as well. So when you're talking about the conversation between Lamar and Tua, sure, Baltimore is sitting in the number 1 seed right now. They're in the catbird seat in terms of seedings. But at the end of the day, we're 1 game behind them. But when you look at the individual resumes in 2023, there's virtually no comparison, in my opinion, when you're comparing Tua and Lamar Jackson. I mean, that's just the reality. That's where we are right now. Now, no shade at Lamar. Respect everything. Respect his impact. Respect his skill set. Him as a player. But when you're talking about sure quarterback numbers, right, and you're talking about MVP conversation, I think obviously they're 1, we're number 2. In terms of the team overall, seedings. They're virtually identical, right? So when you add that into the equation, and when you evaluate both players, Tua's numbers are like, bro, I don't think there's much of a conversation that needs to be had there. And I know a lot of people, the narrative surrounding Tua and his skill set relative to the quarterback position, right? Pocket guy, right? A lot of people feel like Tua greatly benefits, for what is around him as opposed to his individual level of play, right? I understand that. I definitely don't subscribe to that. But at the end of the day, when you're talking about the award specifically, and you factor in how they gauge who's the MVP, listen. The two teams, again, I want to reiterate, the two teams in terms of seedings, they're virtually identical. But when you're talking about the individual resumes, there's no conversation needs to be had here. And that's just where I'm at with the MVP conversation when you're talking about Lamar and Tua. So again, I think if Tua, if we go out and we win, we go on the road, hostile environment, and Tua is a big reason why we win, and we come out Sunday with a victory. I mean, I think the MVP, I think Tua is really, it's really his, it's really his award at the end of the day. So, but in terms of those two players, bro, I don't understand what this infatuation with Lamar Jackson is this year from a statistical standpoint. I just don't get it.
And what's crazy is you look at Tua right now, right? First in pass yards, first in completion percentage, second in passer rating, second in yards per attempt, obviously tied for second in wins. But ask yourself this, could Lamar Jackson run this offense? No, he doesn't have the accuracy to run this offense, right? I mean, at the end of the day, he doesn't have the placement. He doesn't have the processing ability. He can't read defenses to the level Tua can. Jackson makes everything is basically predicated on him basically getting outside the pocket. We talked about this earlier, EM. If we're a defensive coordinator, Lamar, I dare you to beat us from the pocket for 60 minutes.
100%.
You can.
110%.
Tua can.
Can't do it. Can't do
it.
Yeah. He can't. Yeah, Lamar can't do it. I think for me right now, where we stand in terms of this whole process is basically it's an old school battle between conventional and new age quarterback play. And you'll have some people that are amazed and aroused by all of the things that he can do with his legs and that type of stuff. But conventionally, if you compare the two against each other, it's not even close. They're not even in the same area of quarterback prowess in terms of the things that I think are necessary intangibles for a quarterback to have. I've always said from day one that Lamar is an athlete playing quarterback, and Tua is a true passer, right? True pocket passer with the ability to get out if he needs to. But for the most part, he gonna do his work from the pocket, and he's gonna do it the old school way. You know what I'm saying? Just a new age version of Dan with a little bit more athleticism to him. I think people get over excited about all of the things that, okay, there's some excitement to the ability for a guy to go out there and break the ankles of a linebacker and all that type of stuff. But the recklessness of the way Lamar plays also doesn't play in the favor of longevity for them in terms of if he's out, and he's done. Because he's just one hit away from that, right? And I think sometimes when you take into consideration who's most valuable for their team, right? Because it says the most valuable player. There's no real argument to be had when you think about how important the quarterback, having a really good quarterback with the ability to process and ball placement and do the extra over the top things that just the normal NFL quarterback can't do. How important that is to your high level receivers and your targets that you got to get the ball to. I think Tyreek said it himself. Throws the best ball he's ever caught. Right, that's no slouch. It's no slouch. He's not taking no slight to Mahomes, who he won a championship with. But at the end of the day, I would take the word of the wide receiver who's consistently the one getting the targets and the ball. And catching the passes. And in his opinion over who's better and who's the guy that's doing the most, as opposed to somebody sitting down with a notepad thinking to themselves that they understand all of the nuances of the position.
Well, let me kind of going off basically what you're saying, Ballgame, and adding more substance to you. Check this out. I'm just going to say this, boys. Miami with Tua, they have a 65.3 win percentage during his era. When Tua's been out of the lineup, Miami has a 42.8 win percentage under Mike McDaniel and under Flores. Okay, we've seen Flores' record, right? With right? And look at that. That's a 23% difference. Okay, but check this out. Harbaugh won with Flacco. I got even better for you. Since Lamar's there, remember there was a portion of that fan base that said, don't pay Lamar. Look at what Tyler Huntley's given us in this offense. You remember?
I remember.
People seem to forget that, right? Yet we can't win. I mean, Brissett's been through. I mean, guys, we all thought Jacoby Brissett and Teddy Bridgewater at the time were two of the best backup quarterbacks you could get in the NFL. Jacoby Brissett's out there winning in everywhere else except Miami. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like we just can't win without Tua. Baltimore can win without Lamar. They've proven it. Now, are they going to win to the level? No, but even still, Lamar's only won one playoff game in how many years now? 5? Right? So, I mean, you look at we are a 42, almost 43% win percentage without Tua, and we are over 65% with Tua. And we just got over Tyler Huntley, Joe Flacco, Harbaugh finds a way to win.
Yeah, that's just the facts. That's just the facts of the program that's in Baltimore right now, and that's been that way for over 2 decades, including with Ed Reed and Ray Lewis and them. So
yeah,
that's just what that place is. Exactly. Precisely. And technically, when you look at the 49ers as well, they're built the same way, like the Ravens. It's a we get who we got and we play, because Brock Purdy, as outstanding he's been all year, he's still mystery relevant. Not to say that he is mystery relevant. I'm just saying he was drafted with the last pick, and now he's looking like a formidable pro.
What'd you say?
I think one of the important differences, right, in terms of the way these teams are stacked up, right? We all agree earlier that like San Francisco is designed to beat a lot of teams. They're stacked in a lot of different places, but what they don't have is that level of get over the top or get, just get loose on you with the extreme level of speed that we have, right? So that's an element, that they just don't possess. At the end of the day, I think what it comes down to is that our coach, right, true to the form, was humbled by earlier experiences with his alcoholism and all that stuff to made him really appreciate this opportunity that he has in front of him. And he's saying to himself, I'm not going to let my ego go out and keep me from being successful. I'm going to get me a quarterback. I'm going to make sure that my quarterback is the key focal point of my offense, and I'll build around him. Over in San Francisco, they got all of the weapons in place, but they'll plug and play a quarterback. They don't give a shit who he is. They tried it with Garoppolo. They tried it with Purdy, and there was a difference. You haven't seen Mike at any point say to anyone openly, or even you can look at him and tell by his body language, he's not as comfortable if Tua's not running this offense. This offense is perfectly designed for Tua.
100%. 100%.
And all of the things, all of that stuff, So, when you take into consideration, they got to think about that type of stuff too. This is perfectly built for Tua. Even the way we do our rollouts, and all of the reverse motion stuff, all of that stuff is designed to play into his strength and his, the things that he does well. But the other way around, they plug and play. Like, look, San Francisco last night had a chance to get back in. They plugged Darnold in.
I know, Sam Darnold. I know, right? I know, right?
What was the one thing that stood out to you? You know what stood out to me, though? When they went from Purdy to Darnold, the arm stood out.
The arm strength, absolutely.
That's a big fact.
Purdy, right? One thing about Darnold, listen, we know Darnold hadn't had much success as an NFL pro, but it hadn't been because of his lack of talent or anything like that. Darnold arm talent. I mean, Darnold has a lot of talent. It's just,
if he had a McDaniel or Shanahan from the moment he was drafted, he would probably be a top 10 quarterback right now.
Probably.
Like Matthew Stafford type. If he had that type of stuff going on early.
Do you remember the times
for sure. Absolutely.
Ew.
He can spin it. He can spin it.
He just got ruined. Bad coaching, Adam Gase. Thank you very much. You know what I mean?
And to be fair, reason I know we're talking about like MVPs, like who do you have, Tua or Lamar? I'm still one of those guys where, and I played the position. I'm not for MVP being automatically signed, sealed, and stamped to the quarterback position, because there are other positions.
That's how they are, though, right? Like Christian McCaffrey I think should have real consideration, as should Tyreek, but let's be real here. Unless Tyreek breaks, which ain't happening, let's be honest. And unless, I mean, look at unless it's crazy. Remember when LaDainian won it? Didn't he have to have 20 touchdowns and 2,000 yards?
He had like 20, 25 plus touchdowns. Over 2,000 scrimmage yards.
When AP won it, he had over 2,000 that year.
Yeah, but look what
2,000 rushing. Yeah.
LaDainian had over 2,000 scrimmage yards and over 20 touchdowns. Remember, like you got to have over 2,000.
Right.
McCaffrey at right now.
But even with players like JJ Watt, I think should have been an NFL MVP. Like one of those years where he just completely wrecked the NFL. Aaron Donald should have won MVP one of those years when he wrecked the NFL. Ed Reed should have won MVP. Troy Polamalu should have won MVP. Antonio Brown should have won MVP. There's so many other players, and I think we're
give that award to Antonio Brown. Are you crazy right now? They're like,
I mean, before he was out here wilding. I'm just saying when he was in Pittsburgh and he had like over like 1,900 yards receiving in 1 year. I was like, yeah, bro, this is the MVP of the league. But
just for context for y'all, right now, Christian McCaffrey has 14 rushing touchdowns, 1,395 yards. He has 7 receiving touchdowns, so he has 21 touchdowns, and then he has 537 yards receiving. So he has like 1,900. He has like 1,900 and like 32 yards, something like that.
You know what?
He's cracking 2,000 for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what though? Listen, I get it. I understand. I've heard our arguments similar to Martin's about the MVP award.
Bro. But since me and you Ballgame were up on the Tuesday night panel, y'all know I've always said when he's at his healthiest, Christian McCaffrey is one of the best players in the NFL.
I would agree.
Let alone running back.
I definitely would agree. And again, I understand the argument,
100.
but there's an award for the most outstanding offensive player. It's called
player. Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
So the MVP is a special that's reserved for the quarterback. But I understand the argument. I just don't completely subscribe to it. But you got to have,
You're not the only one, bro. The whole NFL doesn't subscribe to
it. I mean, it's just the quarterback. That is the most important position in all of American sports. We all know that. So I get the argument,
and most dependent.
100%.
It is.
100%. So McCaffrey's special. He's having a special year. But at the end of the day, for a non-quarterback to have.
You got to break records.
You got to be historic. You got to be freaking historic.
Yeah.
True. So outstanding McCaffrey.
Remember that year Moss had and Brady won it because he put up the 50 touchdowns and Moss was out here setting all the records with the most receiving touchdowns in the year, blah, blah, blah. But they gave it to Brady, right?
Yeah.
And Brady had never been thrown 30 touchdowns prior to Moss arriving. So it was clearly Moss and they still gave it to Brady.
That's a big fact.
Right.
That's a big fact. Right. But it's even like the Heisman Trophy, right?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Ballgame.
Did you hear Randy Moss saying he's a GOAT?
It went in one ear and out the other one. I didn't play it. Went in one ear and out the other one. Yeah, I heard that nonsense.
EM, listen to this logic though, right? Jerry Rice was drafted into an organization, Bill Walsh, Joe Montana, right? 1985. From 1985 up until Steve Young retired in 1999. That's back-to-back Hall of Fame quarterbacks. That's like moving from Peyton to Andrew Luck or Brett Favre
wasn't even bad when he took over.
It was even
right. That's what I mean by like he always had.
Did Jerry make the quarterback, or did Jerry make the quarterback, or the other way around?
Montana was a 2-time champion before that, though.
Blessed, bro. They went from Jerry to Terrell,
No, sir. Montana hadn't won it before Jerry Rice got there.
Montana had 2 Super Bowls before Jerry Rice got to the 49ers.
No, he didn't.
The 49ers won in 1981. That was Joe Montana's 3rd year in the league. And then they won in 1984 when they beat the Dolphins when Dan Marino had the greatest passing season of all time.
No,
then
Jerry Rice was on that. Jerry Rice was on that 84 squad, bro.
He got drafted in 85. Trust me, Ian. But that's what I mean by he was inherited.
Jerry only had 3 Super Bowls.
Two with Montana. He had 2 with Montana and 1 with Steve Young in '94. And he's been to multiple, obviously, with the Raiders with Rich Gannon.
He was drafted in 85. First pick, 16th pick, first round, 1985 out of Mississippi Valley State. He's right. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Damn, you're right.
But that's what I mean by Jerry Rice has had Hall of Famers throwing to him his entire career, damn near. T.O. had Jeff Garcia. And like Donovan McNabb
was a Pro Bowler. Donovan McNabb went to like 4 NFC championships in like 6 years.
I love how many quarterbacks? How many Pro Bowls did Dante Culpepper go to when in Minnesota? I mean, let's not listen. For about a 4 years window there, Dante Culpepper, where you could make an argument, he was like the Lamar Jackson before Lamar came. Before there was a Lamar Jackson.
And
come on now.
Carter. He had Chris
Carter. He had Robert Smith.
Yeah, everyone forgets how good Robert Smith was as a running
back.
Everyone forgets Robert Smith.
Absolutely. So let's not act like he was out there playing with, bro. Come on now. It's not like that was me lying up on the other side of the field with him.
My thing is,
Randall was nasty.
My thing is,
he inherited Christian Randall.
Jerry was well into his.
I called him Christian Randall Cunningham. My fault.
Oh, okay, yeah. What did you say, Ballgame?
He was posting 1,000-yard seasons, right? Jerry was posting 1,000-yard seasons in his 40s, bro.
Yeah, with Rich Gannon. But it was also him and Tim Brown.
I would give you the argument that maybe Moss was the most explosive, but even then,
hold on. Who are we?
You got to look at Calvin was most explosive too.
Who was that? Who was that ball game?
So who do you guys think's the best ever then?
No, I'm just saying.
Jerry.
There's no question.
It's Jerry Rice. There's no conversation need to be had.
There's no question.
I thought you guys were arguing
Randy Moss.
Jerry Rice didn't, like he was carried. I was
I'm gonna throw you one. I'm gonna throw you.
Hey, I'm gonna throw the best hands I've ever seen. It's disgusting. Those were ridiculous.
Who was that? Who was that reason?
Jerry Rice had the most disgusting hands you've ever seen, bro.
Well, in terms of hands, Chris Carter had the best hands I've ever seen.
Chris Carter was number 1. Yeah,
bro,
Chris Carter was number 1.
In terms of hands.
I don't know, bro.
Pure hands, Chris Carter was number 1, bro.
But listen, let me circle back to Randy Moss. Let me circle back to Randy Moss with this nonsense that he's spewing right now.
Don't you? You got Terrell Owens higher than Moss on your list.
Oh, that's what I'm about to get into that. He's not even number 2, right?
Yeah.
Terrell Owens is the second best wide receiver in the history of the NFL. Randy Moss was a one-dimensional running back. Randy Moss was a one-dimensional wide receiver. He could run maybe two routes on the route tree, maybe at best. T.O., you look at how versatile T.O. was. He could play the X, the Y, or the Z. So could Jerry Rice, right? Yeah. And so when he's talking about he's the best ever, no, you played one position, you ran 2 routes. You just happen to be 6'4", can run a 4.2.
Well, bro, I agree with actually, I know Southern had him as the GOAT, but I think I would take Calvin over Moss if you want my honest opinion.
Calvin Johnson at Georgia Tech was the most dominant wide receiver I've ever seen.
I'm taking time.
Okay, here's a good one. Prime Larry Fitz.
Larry Fitz, what? Top 3 greatest hands of all time.
No shade at Fitzgerald, but no, let's not get crazy here.
Top 3 greatest hands of all time.
Marvin Harrison over T.O. This man puts Marvin Harrison over T.O. I don't know about that.
Marvin was special, but not over T.O. though.
Yeah, no.
T.O.
The way T.O. covered half the field in like 3 strides too is ridiculous.
I know he did. He T.O. to me, if you could construct a machine. Man. Yeah. If you could build a machine that you could make literally a wide receiver, right? T.O. is perfect. He's the model, in my opinion, because he's 6'3.5", right? He's got the vertical element. He was a 4'4". He had the vertical speed. He had the versatility in his game because he can play the X, Y, or Z, right? And again, we all hear Ballgame. You can attest to this as well as you, Martin. When you hear wide receivers talk about how hard and difficult it is to transition from the boundary to inside, a lot of wide receivers do not like. They don't have, they don't like to do that because it's so hard. It's a hard transition to make. And you saw Jerry Rice routinely make that transition. You saw Terrell Owens routinely make that transition. Randy Moss, no shade at him in terms of a boundary, in terms of a presence on a boundary with his height, also with his vertical speed. No shade at him. He's got the Hall of Fame resume. He should be in the Hall of Fame as a top 5 to 6 guy. But in terms of pure, in my opinion, in terms of overall skill sets, how they were deployed, right, when they played at their peaks, I don't put Randy Moss in that category. I like diversity.
Yeah.
And I think, and I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna be honest with you, ball game. Once Tyreek Hill gets enough of a resume behind him, I'm sliding him above Randy Moss too. I'm telling you that right now. It's coming.
Wow.
You play him anywhere.
And that is no homerism. I don't have my homer hat. I do not have a Tyreek Hill do-rag on right now. Trust me. No. This is just what I'm seeing from on the field. This is what the film tells me.
I'm telling you, I would put Calvin Johnson over Moss. I'm not even lying. Calvin Johnson is the other prototype. If it's going to be the two prototypes are either. Calvin ran a 4.35 at that size, bro. Like Calvin was no joke, man. No joke. And he did it with. He was basically the Barry Sanders of receiver. I mean, he wasn't the GOAT like Barry is, but he's basically the Barry Sanders in terms of imagine if he was actually on a good team. Calvin would have had how many championships if he was on a good team, man.
Yeah, as long as
they held him hostage up there.
Yeah, bro. And again, he retired just like Barry did because they did it to him.
Yeah, he walked away like, man, y'all can have this shit then if I can't go nowhere. Yeah.
Imagine, so that's the other thing. Imagine if he would have been happy, you would have probably seen another 5 years on his resume.
Oh, Megatron was a problem for sure.
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
He
could do everything Moss could do. He could do everything Moss could do. He could lost you. He could beat you, whatever, catch point. He could beat you vertically. He could outrun you. Yeah, and he was a good blocker too. He's a big boy.
Yeah. But to be honest, the only thing I took issue with T.O. was concentration drop. That's what I always kind of was like.
That's the only knock. I agree with that 100%, Martin. That's the only knock on I have. The only criticism I have with T.O.
on the sideline. No one's going to mention his attitude on the sideline.
But I don't care about his attitude on the sideline.
Him and McNabb could have won fucking championships if he kept his mouth shut.
Yeah, that wasn't because of him though. That was a lot of that was Donovan McNabb too though.
Hold on. The question, but see the question I have is they brought T.O. in to help McNabb. So why the hell T.O. got to be the one to shut up? Maybe McNabb needed to be the one shutting up.
I agree 100%.
T.O. didn't need him.
McNabb never went to the Pro Bowl until.
Don't say it because he did.
Did he go? Did he make the Pro Bowl before T.O.?
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
He went to like 4 NFC championships.
I understand that, but did he have But was he a legitimate Pro Bowl quarterback, or was he just?
He went to the Pro Bowl in 2000.
Hold on a sec, guys. Freddie Mitchell was relevant when Don McNabb was around. So let's not.
And Tom Pinson.
Hey, I'm not shading him. I'm not shading McNabb. I'm just saying his. All I'm saying is his game went to another level once T.O. got there.
Anyone would, but anyone.
And vice versa.
Jeff Garcia came from the CFL and was a Pro Bowler, bro.
Again, that's a reflection on the player. That's a reflection on the player.
But McNabb had already been to what was it?
T.O. with that dude regardless.
NFC.
He was. I think he already went to like 2 Pro Bowls before he got T.O.
Yeah. Bro, come on. Listen, the whole reason why I watched the Eagles in the early 2000s, became such a Brian Dawkins fan, was because of Donovan. Donovan was good, man.
Hey, don't forget about Brian Westbrook as well. He had Westbrook too, though.
They had good run. They had multiple good runs.
Yeah.
He's a coach.
Good O-lines, good defenses as well.
Yeah. Oh, bro. Like, dude.
T.O. was just the icing on the cake, like a double layer icing on the cake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Bro, dude. Okay, listen. What I'm saying is, where I'm going with this is, you shouldn't be Don't you remember the jaw jacking where Donovan was trying to walk away? Don't do that on the sidelines. Do it when you go in the back. Because then it was over. Right? Because then Andy Reid and everyone
he wanted to go in the back. He wanted to go in the back a lot with Donovan, but
he wanted to.
He didn't want to go.
For other reasons, though.
He wanted Hugh Douglas. He wanted Hugh Douglas to come back there too. Hugh and Douglas wouldn't follow him back to the back. He wouldn't go to the back either.
All I'm saying is don't do it on the sideline. And I'm telling you this much. And Andy Reid, if Andy Reid would have been with the clock management, they probably would have beat the Patriots.
Hey man,
listen. Did you see Andy Reid, motherfucking shoulder check? Did you see him shoulder check Kelsey on Sunday?
No, I didn't see that.
Did you see the video of Andy Reid? Yeah,
I've seen that.
Kelsey was on the sideline.
I've seen that.
They was running a play for a fake,
throwing his helmet.
He wasn't included on the play, so he was throwing his helmet. He was throwing a tantrum, and the equipment guy had Kelsey's helmet, finna give it back to him. And Andy Reid walked over and was like, "Hell no, don't give him that fucking helmet." He took the helmet from him, and then Travis was trying to walk away from him, and Andy Reid went up to him and shoulder checked him like, "Get your shit together, man. What the fuck wrong with you?"
Damn,
right.
I love that.
Travis Kelsey had a Swifter
tantrum. Yeah, hold him accountable.
I love that. I love that.
He had a Swifter tantrum on the sideline.
He probably,
but the girl saw him struggling.
Get your shit together. We wouldn't be struggling because
we got to talk about it, boys, because we want to ruffle some feathers.
Ever since you've been fucking with Taylor Swift, and you ain't been yourself.
It's true. It's true, bro. It's true. It's not even a dime, bro. What
I'm not. I don't know.
Out here,
you know what,
bro?
I 100%. What is the infatuation with Taylor Swift, bro?
Listen,
like
I said it before, I'll say it again. You know, turn Taylor Swift around while she's standing up, and turn a piece of cardboard around, and you tell me that.
I don't understand the infatuation. Never understood.
Listen, you know what I say? Because my mom loves her, and my wife loves her, and my nieces and stuff. You know what I say? I said, yo. Like, at least, like, in the early 90s, you know what I mean? Madonna wasn't talented, but she could put on a show and, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, at least these people, like, in the 90s who had this spotlight that weren't the overly talented, they made better music. Figure that one out. Right. They said better ghostwriters. They made better music, and they put on better shows. Like, let's be honest with ourselves, man. Like, you know, I've seen the people fawn over this, and I grew up with Michael Jackson, with Prince. You know, those were the pop icons I was listening to. And then the people who were mid-vocally still had good music written for them and still put on good shows. Like, how many the world was ready to give a Grammy to Milli Vanilli, and they didn't even write. They were lip singing. You know what I mean? Because the shows were good and the music was better. You know what I mean? Like, I'm watching this and I'm like, I don't see the infatuation. Exactly.
I don't, bro. I don't. That's one of life's greatest mysteries, in my opinion.
I don't get it. Like, bro, I remember. Okay, look, perfect example. Go back to Madonna. I remember as a kid. Like the 80s Madonna with the perm and stuff. The early 90s when Warren Beatty was chasing her around. I remember being like infatuated with her. Well, now I know she's probably, you know, a witch or something like that. But I'm just saying, when I was a kid, you know, at least she had, like, at least she was attractive. You know what I mean? Like, at least I remember as a kid being like, wow, she's an attractive, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like, look at, I mean, like, look at Tony Braxton. Tony Braxton wasn't the best vocally, but I mean, the whole league. You know what I'm saying? Like,
now, gave you something to look at, though.
Now, if she was like on a level of like, let's say, I'm gonna lower my voice here. Like a Ruby Rose or something like that. You know what I mean? I can totally understand it, right? But I don't get it. I don't get it.
To be honest, I was gonna say
shout out to Ruby Rose, by the way.
To be honest, a lot of us have that natural. We want to see something physical, the attractiveness of that. But I'll tell you what, man. I'm just saying that as far as Taylor Swift is concerned, she has almost like a gift gab, almost like where there's a magnetism about her.
No, she's just dating. She's just dating Travis so he can be the next album, bro. That's all this is about. Every album is about a new dude she breaks up with. Now this is going to be her most popular one because she got Chief fans even listening to it. I see her.
Oh Lord, have mercy,
bro. Because listen, I'm a hip hop head. And I'm going to say this: Cardi, Nicki, and Megan can all rap. And they are all easy on the eyes, might I say? You know, like
Lord have mercy.
So, but they all got the skill too to back it up, bro. And like, I remember back in the day being infatuated with Foxy and Lil Kim because they could actually spit. You know what I mean? Like they were actually, you know what I mean? Like they were legit back. Even Lauryn Hill was beautiful, and she could actually, her music was amazing, and you know what I mean. And she could hold her own with the boys. You know what I mean?
Right.
So. You know,
I mean,
you can get the
I don't know.
message. I don't get the Taylor Swift. I don't. Get
I mean,
I apologize to any Swifties that have stopped watching.
I know, right?
Oh nah, they gonna find out, bro.
You know,
They gonna find you.
And Travis has had some really fine ass girlfriends, and I don't know.
I know. I know. I'm like,
That's
bro, listen, I think it's all about he just trying to it's clout, bro. That's all it is. He's closer to retirement, right?
Yeah.
2 years max, I would say.
Baby.
And he's just trying to establish
How old is she?
32, 33, something like that.
Does he have
Look at Q.
Does Travis have
Shout
any
out to
kids?
Q. Not gonna lie, I like a couple of her songs, but I'm no true Swift. Oh, boy.
Does Travis have any kids yet?
Nah,
no
not Uncle Travis.
Wayne D out here spitting facts as y'all said. Travis' first girl was too brown for KC. Taylor's the right look. Buddy,
oh shit!
Aaliyah was Scott.
Shit.
Aaliyah was a
that was baby right there. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Rest in power, Aaliyah, man. She was different, man.
Oh yeah, talent, ultra talented. Equally as beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Right.
Gone way too soon, bro.
How are we gonna leave out Trina? How are we gonna leave out Trina? So.
Hey, 305. Hey, nah, Trina was
close.
Damn, they said Trina. They said Trina.
For real,
hey,
man.
Oh,
Trina was one of those ones, man.
Trina, there's a spot.
She was the baddest bitch, right? She was the baddest bitch, right?
Right.
Hey, there's a spot reserved for Trina too. You know what I'm saying, at this table. You know, she got she got a seat here. So
Trina had everybody down here like whip, bro. Yeah, bro. We everybody wanted Trina down here, man. So. Nah, but again, back to Travis, man. He just can't. I think they're all unraveling, and remember, guys, we had this conversation earlier. I don't believe that we should squander this opportunity when the Chiefs are unraveling, the Jaguars are unraveling, the AFC in totality. It's wide open. That's why I'm like, you know what, man? We have an opportunity that if we identify the opportunity the right way, bro, just run through this whole thing, bro, and get your opportunity to play in the Super Bowl, and let's just call what they make, because
bro, you know,
that's what time it is, man.
It feels like we talked about this earlier, boys. It feels like the stars are aligned. Look at how weak KC is. Well, KC looks like a wounded lion, and we're the new young pup. Circling the pride, ready to make a move and take them down. But we got that. We got the brother of the wounded one, Baltimore, who's been around the last couple of years. They're looking. They might make their move. You know what I mean? It's bro. I mean, this is as perfect as because we don't want to give them another offseason to retool that weapon core for Patty. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, we got to strike.
To be honest with you, though. To be honest with you, like
Home Depot workers will be better than them right now.
You know what though? I'm in complete agreement. Like now is the time you would think, you know what I mean? Because the AFC seems to be in a little influx right now. But at the end of the day, bro, from what I've seen, you know, from the coaching staff that we have, the organization, the team presently constructed, and even for going into next year in, you know, the next 2 years, this 2 year window, I really don't give a pardon my language, gentlemen, but I don't give a fuck what any other these teams, Baltimore, bring on Patrick Mahomes, right? Bring on Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert and the Chargers, whoever you want to throw. I don't fear any team in the AFC. I really don't. For the next 2 years in this window that we have, and we could pretty much forecast we're all in agreement. We got a 2 to 3 year max window. You're seeing two elevated play from Tua. You're seeing so many young players ascending and that are blossoming right before our eyes. I don't give a fuck what Kansas City is doing. I just don't fear any team. Any of these, you know, the Baltimores, the Buffaloes, the Kansas Cities. I have zero amount of fear when you're talking about anticipating matching up with these teams in the postseason. None. So bring it on. I don't give a fuck about none of that. Bring it on.
I agree with you. Don't give a damn about them when it comes down to it. But the team that I think really and truthfully, bro, is going to be a problem in the next couple of seasons. They can just stay healthy. It's going to be them goddamn Houston Texans. Because they lost.
Say that, ball game. Say that, bro.
Them motherfuckers. I've watched them fuckers this play. I watched them play this season, bro, and I am thoroughly impressed at what that young group has been able to accomplish and how they've gone through the adversity they've gone through. They rallied to each other, and D'Amico Ryan got them motherfuckers ready to run through walls.
Oh,
bro.
yeah.
They don't give a shit. It is next man up over there.
Yeah.
They lost Nick. They lost Collins. They lost Tank Dell. You know what I'm saying? They had motherfuckers that dropping like flies, and it didn't matter, bro. They still winning, bro. CJ went down. They went out there and won a game without him, and now he can't. I'm telling you, bro. Shit is crazy, man.
That's a great point.
I definitely agree with that. They're definitely one of those teams to in the near future. One of those young teams, young ascending teams. I agree with that. 100%.
They got their Michael Parsons and that dude, that Will Anderson dude, man. That one's gonna be a problem. They just got to figure out how to employ him better, because him trying to play him on that edge when he's only 238 pounds is that's gonna probably wear him out. If they put his ass in the middle somewhere, if he could develop to be a middle line, man, shit. If Dallas was smart, they'd go ahead and do that with Parsons too. But like we said earlier, they're gonna be a problem. I can see it. D'Amico Ryan is gonna be a problem with that Houston Texans.
Yeah, he's definitely. I'm sorry, Martin. Go ahead, bro. My bad.
I was going to say real quick, EM, I want to double down on what Ballgame just said, because I've been having a lot of conversations with people about the Texans and how that's actually one of the teams I don't want to see in the playoffs. I'm talking like I want to see Kansas City. I want to see Jacksonville. I don't want to see the Houston Texans, because they play at a different pace, bro. They play at a different level when they're all tapped in, and they have such a good young core of players. Derek Stingley, Petrie at safety. Denzel Perryman is having a resurgence.
They got the depth right there too with the veterans of Jimmy Ward. They got
Jimmy Ward, Steven Nelson. They got
a perfect blend right now,
Dalton Schultz at tight end. Devin Singletary is having a resurgence as well. Like they have a team, and CJ Stroud, bro. Let me just say this, man. There was a moment in time where people were having conversations, should he win the MVP this year as a rookie? Because that's how cold he was playing throughout the year, early on in the year. That's a dangerous conversation to have when a dude is fresh out the college rank, and it's just, look, that obviously we're talking about the Buccaneers, and now hindsight 2020, we see how good the Buccaneers actually are when they're hitting on all cylinders. The Buccaneers had them dead to rights, bro. In that game where I was like, okay, let me see how they respond. CJ Stroud made like 3 or 4 throws in that last drive that completely sealed it for me. This kid is going to be something special when he gets.
And that's one of 23's biggest surprises for me, right? Because I'll be first to admit I have a bias against Ohio State quarterbacks first and foremost, right? I will admit, I acknowledge that, right? Ball game, that.
Yeah.
But
they don't develop too good.
To see this kid's early development, again, I don't like giving too much praise to any team other than the Dolphins, but for conversational purposes, I mean, the kid that is one of the biggest surprises in 23 for me.
Can I say this, EM? I brought this up. And someone just mentioned it in the chat. I've brought this up multiple times when we're talking about him. What offense is he running?
Yeah,
Shanahan. That's right.
He's running an offense.
Right.
They brought over I'm pretty sure they brought over the quarterback coach and made him the offensive
100%.
100%. That's a good point.
Doesn't this automatic? And you know what I've said? Followed up with this is what I've said every time I bring this up. Makes you wonder where Tua would be in year 4 if he would have started off in that offense.
Yeah.
Because listen, you remember it, and I bring this up all the time. I'm a broken record right now. That's fine. But when everyone was saying, I want to see Tua with Sean Payton, what did I say? I want to see him in a Shanahan offense. Me and you both know West Coast principles, they are tailored to his skill set. Like, that's the thing. People don't realize this system is already built for Tua before you even have Tua.
Like, for sure.
For his skill set.
For sure.
So now when you specially tailor it even more for his skill set, you see the explosiveness come out of the West Coast offense. Like, and this is what I go back to. Remember last year I did a show on our bye week. Do you remember it? Where I said, stop comparing. It got a lot of views. It got like 20,000 views. I said, stop comparing Tagovailoa to Jimmy G. Because you remember, it used to piss me off, EM. I said, start comparing to what Matt Ryan did in that MVP season.
Yeah,
and I put up
100%.
the numbers, and he was on the exact same pace.
100%.
Matt Ryan in that MVP year. And now Matt Ryan didn't have this many years that Tua is going to have in this offense. I'm telling you, people don't realize we could get into a period over the next 2 years where it's an unquestioned, undeniable Tua is the best quarterback in the NFL for a period of time. That's what people aren't realizing. We haven't even still reached the ceiling yet. We've only, you know, tried to touch our fingertips. We've touched it with our nails. We haven't reached, and we're not sitting on our ceiling yet.
But you know, two areas that to me, when you're talking about traditionally the West Coast format A and then B, you look at the types of quarterbacks stylistically have that normally that we've seen over the years that are normally in that, you know, that play in this style of offense, right? Two things that have separated Tua, in my opinion. Again, I'm not listening before, you know, all the haters come out or whatnot. I'm not saying Tua is historically better than these players, but this is, to me, is why you're seeing when the term perfect quarterback and tailor-made for his skill set, you know, foundationally, Sean Payton, Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, going back to Bill Walsh. You heard Frank Smith kind of allude to this earlier. Well, he said the DNA, the foundational, the DNA of the playbook is pretty much the same. But every coach there's variations of it. They put their own fingerprints and they kind of sculpt and mold their offense to fit the talent that they currently have, right?
And their vision.
So this is what McDaniel had when he's talking about when Tua, his vision, obviously, for his variation of this West Coast format, what he obviously one of the things that attracted him, because he's got a complete infatuation with speed. Generally, when you talk about historically, West Coast offenses, speed is not the biggest priority, right? Never has been.
Right.
Route running, right?
Yeah.
Great run after possession guys, run after the catch, right? So McDaniel, I think, and again, this is just pure speculation on my part, right? When he sat back and when he interviewed and he really from afar, right? When he looked at this, when they fired Brian Flores and he looked at this opening, he looked at the roster especially offensively, and he saw Waddle. What's the first thing he said when he was on the plane, right? Waddle is the reason for that, right? Yeah. I think he wanted to implement his variant of the West Coast format. He wanted to put more emphasis on speed, and then once Tyreek Hill came available in terms of trade possibility, that's why they went all in. So now you look at you got these two of the fastest guys in the NFL, right? Under this West Coast umbrella, well, I need the quarterback to have two. And again, my opinion, he needed a quarterback that saw the field. And again, this is where I think Tua separates himself, because I still think to this day, from the last 2 years that we see, given those last two windows and those sample sizes that we've seen from Tua, elevated level of play, I think Tua is seeing the field faster than anybody in the NFL. I said that from day one when Mike McDaniel took over. Y'all know that. We had it privately. I'm sure a lot of people have heard me say it publicly. I didn't focus so much on the talent around him. I focused on how fast can Tua see the field, how fast can he process, because we all know he had the accuracy. We all know that his ball placement was absolutely phenomenal. We knew Tua had all of these traits, but I felt like what was lacking, what we saw early on, and this is typical of a player transitioning from college early on in their career to the NFL level. If Tua gets to the point where he is seeing the field, right, as fast as he needed to be, and now I think he's seeing the field faster than anybody, and now you combine his other traits, right? The accuracy, the ball placement, the anticipatory skills, right? And now you're seeing the deep ball, right? Name me a ball that anybody's seen this year that have hung in the air and a receiver had to wait for it, right? So now when you tie all of that, you add all of that into the equation, and when you hear him say perfect quarterback for my system, we all know we highlighted the traits that are required of a West Coast quarterback. Well, Tua, his ability to see the field and his ability to push the ball down the field. That is what separated Tua from not every other quarterback. I'm not saying he's historically good as Montana, Steve Young, etc. I'm not saying that Kurt Warner's of the world. I'm not saying that. But when I think Tua, this is, when he means perfect, Tua has that. He's seeing the field faster than everybody in the league right now, and he has the ability to push the ball down the field. And when you're talking about pushing the ball down the field, that traditionally in a West Coast format, name me the quarterback that had that as a strength of their game in terms of in a West Coast system. I've never seen it. Other than Matt Ryan, maybe. Other than Matt Ryan in 2016, which is why when you talk about 2016, reason like you just brought it up, that is where you see the similarities in terms of offensively and skill set.
Let's talk about that. Being able to push the ball down the field. Let's talk about it. Let's go recent to far back. Jimmy G, if he could push the ball down the field properly, he doesn't overthrow against Kansas City. They make that play. They seal that game. They get their championship. Remember when who was the receiver he overthrew? I always forget his name. Remember the receiver?
Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah, Emmanuel Sanders. Remember when he overthrew Emmanuel Sanders in the third or fourth quarter? And that would have just been the icing on it. It would have been over. Yeah, it was the fourth quarter. That would have been it. Okay, now let's go back to Montana. Boys, Montana didn't look like Tua looks,
at all.
In the regular season. Like Montana turned it on like a switch when the playoffs started. But if you watched him back then, hell, if you even, box scores will scout him. He wasn't lighting. I mean, we're not talking about a guy who's regularly about to put up 4,500 yards. Tua was on pace last year to have over 4,500 yards as well. And he's doing it again this year. That wasn't Montana's game. Like that wasn't, Cam Newton's up here talking about game managers. Montana he wasn't a gunslinger. He wasn't, here's the thing. I try to tell people, and I know, Martin, we've had this conversation while we've been on doing our breakdowns. What people need to realize is Tua is also showing them, on Ballgame and Martin, he's showing them a new type of gunslinger. Everyone had the Favre in mind. Everyone had the Marino in mind. Everyone had the Rodgers in mind. They never thought a guy with some of the best anticipation, accuracy, and processing they've seen could be that. But that's what we look how confident from Flores to McDaniel. Look at how confident these guys are in dropping him back 40 times a game. Me and Martin can tell you all about it because these are fucking breakdowns. Okay,
that's
we're the ones
100%
that got to
true.
slave over 20 minutes of film after I edit it tonight. Once we're done here,
That's true,
it's like okay. Perfect example. Purdy. I brought this up when we were on the phone. Guys, they're down by 21. We're running screens. You think we're running screens with Tua when we're down by 21? Tua pushing the ball, buddy. We're running
100%.
screens when the game's close and we
100%.
need it to be an extension of the run game or we need yards quick. We're down 21. Tua pushing that football, baby. We saw it against the Ravens last year. We ain't sitting back saying, okay, roll over and die.
That's true.
But again, that is where I think Tua is really starting to distinguish himself. Again, as a quote unquote West Coast quarterback, and again, he's on a historic pace the last 2 years. So again, we need more from Tua. We need obviously
Matt Ryan. People need to remember the pedigree Matt Ryan was coming out. He should have been our pick if you think about it. Yeah, we got high level tackle play for 3 years from Jake Long, but then he was just an injury riddle. But I mean, people forget the pedigree he was because he got stuck in Atlanta. But then you saw the pedigree come out under McDaniel and Shanahan, remember? Buddy, people forget who are the guys who drafted Kirk Cousins, and they're so genius they could run that spread offense that they admitted they had never ran before with RG3, then shift back to what they normally do with Kirk Cousins when RG3 look at how good Kirk Cousins was and look how he got paid off of him. Right? People forget, man.
Shanahan.
Like these guys, that's why, listen, I saw something interesting from Simon Clancy from 3 yards per carry tonight. I don't know if you saw the tweet, EM. He made a good point. Are we going to go 11 condensed personnel like what LA did against the Ravens because they had Puka Nacua and they had blocking? We got Claypool. We got Craycraft who can block. Tyreek can block. We got guys. Are we going to go more condensed so we can run the ball on them and do? They're all cut from the same tree. We know, hey, Eli and Peyton would talk about games. Don't think these boys don't talk about when they got opponents, especially when the Ravens don't affect the Rams, right? Don't think he can, and don't think he don't watch what McVay does and notice what McVay does. And so, what do you guys think about that?
Great point.
Be a way to
absolutely.
Attack the Ravens?
Absolutely.
Because we got to talk some defense here. But what do you guys think about that?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. And I think that's a real possibility. Number one, I mean, we've seen that it's not like that would be a foreign concept to already what we do anyway. I'm sure, we've seen though, the condensed formation itself, maybe not be 11, but you go with any formation, right? You can go, 21, you can go, 12, whatever. Again, that's another feature. That's another, aspect of the West Coast format. So in terms of like the copy and paste jobs and the borrowing from coaches, look, I think it's a real possibility. McDaniel is borrowing but McVay, I've seen, a few Rams games this year, and I've seen a few wrinkles that he's implemented. I'm like, bro, he stole that from Mike McDaniel.
Well, bro,
you know what I mean?
Ago,
right.
I'm like,
you remember like 3 years ago? You remember when I think it was 3 years ago when the Ravens beat the piss out of them? Remember that game in the regular season? The Ravens just stomped them. I don't know if you remember that. It was 4 years ago.
Yeah. That was Lamar's MVP.
Remember that?
2019. Yeah.
They just stomped them, bro.
Blowout.
And what McVay noticed was how much motion at the snap they were running.
Mm-hmm.
And they were running almost like 52% of the time they were running motion at the snap. And so you remember how they went to the Super Bowl? The Rams went to the Super Bowl then, like the next year or whatever that was, or they went that year and lost, and then they went the next year. Anyways, the next year they were motioning at the snap about 51%, and they found that run game under Gurley again, and it was all because McVay saw what the Ravens did to him. I'm telling you,
listen, all coaches copy and paste.
Oh yeah,
right. There's nothing new under the sun in the NFL, bro. Everybody's stealing from everyone. You know what I mean? So in terms of like, absolutely,
we got colleges stealing from us, not even NFL teams.
100%. So yeah, absolutely, I could see, and not just that personnel grouping, right? But I'm sure he's and this is the responsibility of every coach. You need every opponent, right? You need to go back and research. Your team needs to research every every team that they played before you, right? To kind of see how team scheme. That's just standard operating procedure in ballgame. You can attest to this better than all of us, right? This is just standard operating procedure from any smart head coach. So yeah, to answer your question, absolutely. Not only that formation, but I'm sure he's going to be taking a lot. Any team that has a level of success against the Ravens this year, I'm sure they'll be hip to what that is and kind of implement those wrinkles if need be.
So let's get ball. Go ahead, Ballgame. Go ahead.
I'm just interested to see how they're gonna go ahead and employ Claypool going forward, so they can expose all three levels of defenses at this point. Big body, you know what I'm saying, fast, strong guy, you know what I'm saying, with good hands, but at the same time, I think they got to figure it out. Like Julian Hill is cool, but I think Claypool will be more dynamic in some of the roles, and he's a dedicated run blocker too. So I'm hoping Mike just holding some stuff back, and he'll start, unleashing a little bit of it at a time, so we'll have more to think about. Because if Water gonna be out, basically,
that's a good point,
we need another element. We need another weapon. That guy standing around just running down, tackling people on special teams.
And Ballgame, I'm under the impression. I'm under the impression that Chase Claypool might be overloading, because I think they might be teaching him Tyreek and Waddle's position at the same time, to kind of, line them up when those guys take a breath, to get back to the sideline.
You got to kind of accept that, though, because you were told coming in. I mean, Tyreek said it a long time ago that it's very complex, and the calls and the things that you have to do. Now, Mike does his best job to kind of shorten things up for Cash, but at the end of the day, you got to be a professional. Yeah. And being a professional means being a playbook. So
that's true.
All right. So let me ask you this, boys.
We definitely gonna need him this week too. We're gonna need somebody to step up this week. But go ahead.
So let's go into this, because let's stir the pot a little bit. I'll actually just segue it into you boys. I'll just lay it out, because we had this discussion earlier, and I thought it was a good discussion. Has Zach Sieler's production been counterproductive to Christian Wilkins getting a big extension?
Oh, here we go. You sure you want to go here, Reed? Are you sure? Are you absolutely positive?
I'm positive.
Careful, gentlemen. Careful now, because we got that portion of the fan base that are absolutely 100% in their feelings over this player. So tread lightly, tread lightly, gentlemen.
Nah. But there's validity. There's validity to that, man. I think Zach Sieler has clearly earned his contract, right? But I think it's more Christian Wilkins' team off the field than Christian Wilkins. You know what I mean? If we're being honest, if you want Christian Wilkins to stay up with the Miami Dolphins, first of all, the Dolphins will approach that negotiation table with stats and team production, and there's a whole bunch of numbers and things that they can bring up to say, is he worth this amount? But obviously, there's other things outside of stats, like Christian Wilkins' leadership, that's always on display every single snap. Getting into the backfield, messing with the line of scrimmage, like just doing small things that kind of give us a certain edge, and everybody plays off of it. So there's nuances to it, but to say he's like reason we were talking about $10 million more, if he's worth $10 million more than Zach Sieler, the answer is a resounding no. No, you don't pay Christian Wilkins $10 million more to stay on the defensive line because he's a good leader. I wouldn't do that at all. So it's going to be tough, man, when we get to that point in time. But I hope his team is ready to really, meet us halfway, because we got a squad, man. And if we keep it together, who knows what can happen.
Do you tag him?
I would transition tag him, because a team would be more inclined to trade for a transition tagged player as opposed to a franchise guy. You know what I mean? So, I mean, obviously you want to maximize the trade you in return if you opt to let him go. But I think, because see, if you tag him, you franchise tag him, and again, I'm coming from the perspective, I don't think Christian Wilkins is going to be here after this year. I just don't believe that. Right? You just have too many players that you have to get locked up long term. Two of the most important out of all of them. And again, there is no way, and no shade at Chris. I want to be clear, right? Because you know how the internet goes, and you know how these fans are, emotional fans are, right? At the end of the day, I want Christian Wilkins here. I want Christian Wilkins as a Miami Dolphin for the duration of his career. But
for sure,
the money that he's asking for, there's no way you justify paying him $10 million more than a guy that's playing right next to him, that is just as impactful. The numbers are identical, right? Impact on the field is identical. The film is virtually identical. How, if you're Chris Greer, how do you justify giving him that type of contract? I don't see it. So I've been saying that since day one. I think once they locked Zach Sieler into that contract, I said Christian Wilkins is on borrowed time right now. And unless he's willing to take significantly less than that, 20, I don't know, what was he asking for? 22 million, 24 million?
24.
Bro, unless he's willing to take anything significantly less than that, Christian Wilkins, this will be his last year in a Miami Dolphins uniform. And it's unfortunate. But at the end of the day, you got Van Ginkel, who's proven his immense value to this defense, right? Playing on both two-level player, bro. Off the ball, on the ball. I mean, pass rush.
And Fangio loves him.
Playing at the middle, Mike linebacker, bro. I mean, that is immense value to this defense. And playing at you can make a case he's equally as impactful playing off the ball as he is on the ball. Name me the player that's doing that other than like Micah Parsons. And again, I'm not saying he's Micah Parsons, but I mean Van Ginkel, bro. He's tremendous.
Van Ginkel showing up, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And real quick, EM, I think what we're suddenly, Javon Holland's stock is suffering because of his injuries right now, because we're supposed to pay him too coming up. You know what I mean? So that's another little thing when you see everybody else balling in front of.
They're gonna pay.
I don't know.
But we struggle back there without him, bro. Like Brandon Jones has been very hit or miss. He ain't gonna be back. You got Sean Elliott had the roughest outing as a Dolphin. He was taking poor angles. He wasn't passing guys off properly. Like he wasn't taking them guys. Cater was passing guys off to him. Cater even had to point the guys out to pass
Yeah.
him off, and Deshaun was still slow to get there.
Right.
And then he was taking
And
poor tackling.
CD crib that thing.
Bro, listen, with Wilkins, here's the problem. It goes back to what I always I told people about this back when we were talking about the money. I'll tell people about it again. Do the history. You got to do the research. Okay, you got to research these defenses, these coordinators, edge players, safeties, corners, and linebackers get paid before defensive tackles in this defense. That's just the reality. He's going to go to bat for ABG, and he's going to tell y'all, I can go find you, me, myself, another Christian Wilkins. I guarantee you. Remember, he found Daquan Jones, and remember they let him walk? After Broncos, after the Fangio left, and Daquan's good, man. And they said, whatever, right? But the whole thing is Fangio will say, I can replace that. That's why I think you're going to see and kind of blending offense here. I think two things that you're going to see a target here. I think you're going to see his target a linebacker because I think Baker might be gone. Even though I think Fangio might say try and find a way to work, but I think they're going to be too money strapped. Right. X is probably going to be gone. I think we should be looking for – he's going to be looking for Wilkins' replacement, and I think we're going to be looking for offensive line, and we got to find that tight end because I'll say it before, we don't threaten the seams enough. We barely threaten the seams. Look at the game Durham Smythe just had when we threatened the seams a little bit, huh? Best game of the season. And look,
he got busy.
Like 18-yard gain, 19-yard gain. Imagine if we got a guy who could block like that and catch and offer us something after the catch. Imagine, right?
Right.
And we know Tua likes him because Gesicki had his best numbers. All these people want to sign him in the fan base. I love Gesicki. Well, you love Tua because his career numbers were under Tua. Same for all of you that wanted to bring back Lynn Bowden and we were heartbroken when we lost Lynn Bowden. You can thank Tua for that because Lynn Bowden's flipping burgers on a practice squad somewhere as a gadget player. But Tua, when bodies went down, Tua made him one of the focal points along with Gesicki, right? So, I think that's the missing piece, boys, to that offense. That seam threat.
Real quick, Reason. I want you to highlight a comment real quick down there. It's that one just popped up. Where is it at? That C underscore. You see, highlight that real quick. I just want to say, I'm back. Salute to you. Respect, baby. Respect.
Well, let's tell them a little bit. We got boys and girls. The idea here is we're gonna run a couple episodes on here, get y'all used to it. But then this is gonna be its own YouTube. We're gonna probably move it over to its own entity and its own channel, and it's gonna be one of those things where we'll go. We'll hit you from the right and the left out of nowhere when we go live, basically.
Hey, listen. The vision of the platform. I want to let everybody know. It's going to be different than what's out there. A lot of what's out there right now. Obviously, it'll be Dolphin centric for the most part because that's our team. We know and love. But at the end of the day, we want to establish a platform, and we want to have we want the platform to be in a position to really address anything, all topics in terms of Dolphin related. It could be NFL related. It could be NBA related. It can be politics related. It could be anything. We want a platform to be able. We want the freedom.
UFOs.
Yeah. we want the platform. We want the platform to have no restrictions. Be able to have the freedom to really talk about a lot of issues that are plaguing the sports world and the world in general, for the most part. So it's going to be unfiltered. It's going to be, if you're offended by, kind of a little harsher language than what you typically see on other YouTube platforms, then this might not be the place for you. But at the end of the day, we're going to, we're going to be in a position to bring our truth, right, to the fan base, to the subscriber base. And we're coming. This is going to be an every week thing. Who knows even more, but what Reason has done in the community. You obviously know what Ballgame has done in the community. You know what Martin has meant to the community. And I would like to put myself in that category as well. It's been a major contribution to a lot of the higher quality content, right? Especially from a YouTube perspective that has been projected into this community. So you all know this cast of characters, and that fifth horseman too, that is yet to be his identity, that is yet to be revealed. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Behind square number 5.
When he finally pulls up, right? He's going to bring immense value as well. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we all want the vision to be. Hopefully y'all will enjoy it. Y'all will be in a position where y'all can pull up and support us or whatnot. But this is where we are, baby. We about to get this shit popping. So there ain't no turning back now. So it's on. It is on.
And I actually wanted to bring up, back to Dolphins real quick. Yeah, do we have a problem with play design at the goal line?
Yes.
Because I've yet to see us like
the only two things I like. The only two wrinkles I like, I talk about this every Sunday while I'm live reacting. It looks like the only two wrinkles we've added inside the 15 or the 10 are that A-Chan or whoever will shoot out like they're going to swing or wheel, and then they come back on the angle, or that flick. I feel like that flick's going to come back, boys. It feels like they stashed it away, eh? Like, okay, it stopped working a little bit, and they stashed that flick away. But it feels like that flick's going to come back. But, boys, inside the 5, I go back to my tight end point. Tight end point. Look at Gesicki. Go back to the Lions game. You remember that 26, 28-yard throw he made to the back of the end zone in Gesicki where it went like 1, 2, 3, 4, then back to 2, and it was Gesicki, and it was the back of the end zone. Like, people forget he does like that big target, and like they did adapt a little bit. But here's my thing, boys. You're talking about how you don't like the fade the week before on Hard Knocks. Now all you're doing is switching it to Cedric Wilson and throwing the fade again. You need to. I brought this up. Why are we never bringing up a bunch set or in that position? Or why are we never going condensed, heavy to the left, make it look like, run something power, then come back to it, but then, have the off the weak side, have the tight end there, chip and leak. And how many times do we see Tua have to just roll out and it's an easy throw? We see every other team do it. We're the only other team that never struggles. It's inside that, because you know why, boys? Inside that 10, inside that 5, speed don't matter as much.
100%, absolutely. And again, you just brought it up. Reason I was going to highlight. I want to see Tua when you get in particular in the red zone. I want to see Tua out, on the move more. Right? I don't know why.
Look at that's where a lot of our big touchdowns.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
One against the Ravens.
Absolutely. Craig Crafts. How many times we see him extend and hit Craig Crafts right for a touchdown?
They say this guy doesn't extend plays and make things happen. You don't watch Dolphin games. You know how many times I've seen him roll out in the 10 because nothing's working, and him and a receiver have to be on the same page, and they extend it, and he makes the throw. You see it all the time.
100%.
Right.
I don't know.
It kind of feels like Darryl Bevel be calling plays down there sometimes. Because Lord knows.
No, it feels like it's McDaniel.
I can tell you 100%. I can tell you 100% that most of the nation had not been watching Dolphins games until last Sunday, and now people are gonna be really tuned in. So, we've seen the issues that we face down inside the red zone all season long. So we're more accustomed to being able to talk about it. But most people don't know half the shit that we talking about. The problem is that if he doesn't make some shifts, then you become predictable. And that's the last thing with this type of athleticism and speed we need to do is be predictable. I thought that he would be a lot more motion involved regardless of where we were on the field. And sometimes he just went completely stagnant and just dropped back passing as opposed to we got away from a lot of the motion. Now, they didn't get back to it on Sunday because the Dallas did a really good job of rerouting our guys, but I think the crazy thing for me was that we were still trying to go sideline to sideline with them when we should have just been running right down the hill at them.
Yeah, Hankins.
Those are the things that drive me crazy. Yeah, that's what drives me crazy about Mike is that like they had splits, bro, like legitimately between the two tackles that were inside. They weren't even concerned about the 1 and the 2 hole and everything over the center. They were clearly over in the 3 and 4
and ball games. So then why did you activate Chris Brooks? Because that would have been a perfect game for him to eat. They wouldn't have expected it, and that's where he can eat. See, that's the type of stuff. You gotta adapt on the fly, bro. You gotta adjust. See, my problem with Mike McDaniel is in-game adjustments. Very questionable at times, gentlemen. And that's where you got to see what you're seeing ball game because someone's up in the sky telling you that and make an adjustment. They're not going to see it coming.
We went pistol. I was talking to my son on this play. We went pistol trips and then we went trips to the wide side, and then we ran a halfback dive to the weak side and got 8 yards off of it. And then he turns around the very next play, and instead of coming back with the formation is bringing a running back, or bringing a wide receiver across the formation, and then going weak with it. He ran the same type of play, but then he tried a jet motion off of it, and then they blew it up. And I was thinking to myself, like, no, why are we trying to go sideways? Why are we trying to go sideline to sideline when they're giving you, there's nobody in the 1 hole or the 3 hole or the 2 hole. Both sides of the center are wide open. All the running back has to do is just be patient and pick a hole. And you got both guards who can collapse down and just part the Red Sea, and then they can fan out to the next level. Because the tackles weren't going to be involved at all. And the only person standing in the middle was Michael Parsons. And I was like, why aren't we just running right at this guy? Right down the, it just didn't make no sense to me.
And our guards was feasting in that game too.
Who?
Our guards was feasting in that game, in the run game.
Well let me ask you boys.
Robert Jones definitely was. Robert Jones definitely was.
Well, let me ask you boys this: are you confident in where our run game is right now, heading into the playoffs? I mean, Mostert hasn't had a 100+ yard game since October 15th against Carolina. We back-to-back games we've been held under 100 yards. You know, what do you guys thought? What are you guys' thoughts over the run game right now? Mostert looks like he's a little banged up in the ankle. Like, it looked like they turned to Ed Wilson a little bit at the end there. It looked like they turned to Wilson late in the game there because both Achane and Mostert a little banged up.
Mostert were a little bit, yep.
But I think all that's fine. I mean, there may be some truth to a lot of that, but at the same time, it's not so much about the end result of what the running game is netting you in terms of yardage that's probably going to be most effective for you. It's the fact that you're committed to you're committed to the process of running the ball, which forces any defense you face to have to honor that. And I think that's more important than if they don't get 100 yards, but hell, they get 80-something collectively, but you done ran the ball 20-some times. I'll take that because that's 20-some odd times that those linebackers had to come up to honor that, and you open up that other intermediate area of the field.
That is 100% true. I don't know why people don't understand that ball game. Like, you try to explain that to, like, I've had multiple. Exactly. That's why I don't entertain casuals. I've been to 2024. One of my resolutions, I'm gonna entertain as less casuals as I possibly can, bro. No matter how bad I want to get in there and body somebody, I'm just not gonna even bother. I'm gonna let them make it. You know what I mean? Crazy to me.
Yeah, I feel you.
but Reed, I'm telling you, I'm not concerned because I know we got 2 guys coming back in Robert Hunt and Austin Jackson, and those 2 do damage in the run game as far as second level. And when you got those second level steals, now you're talking about Achane breaking off those 35, 40+ yard runs. Now you're talking about Mostert, running between, the creases and blocks. The stats of it, like Ballgame was saying, the stats of it is not what it's not to our standard the last couple of games, but that's a direct reflection on who we're working with. You feel me? So trust me when I say when we get those 2 back, I fully expect a complete nose downhill. Let's run the football again. And it's gonna happen.
Road grading, brother.
In terms of confidence level, I can't say that I'm as confident as as I would be if we had all our starters in place. Obviously,
especially Isaiah Wynn. Remember, I pointed out weeks ago, guys, people were sleeping on
Connor Williams. Connor Williams. Yep.
But I also said when Connor Williams is healthy, there was a noticeable change in the run game with Isaiah Wynn out. Not enough people were talking about it.
But see, here's my thing. I think they're confident enough, even if Austin Jackson, well, hopefully they get back sooner rather than later. But if, in regards to this Baltimore game, right? Because I don't think, again, hopefully Jackson comes back as well as Hunt. We'll see, as we get later into the week, whether or not they're going to be possibilities on Sunday. But I think in terms of overall confidence, I don't have the utmost confidence in the backups, the personnel that we have available now. However, I do think they can provide enough production because I don't think, like we talked about this earlier, right? I think San Francisco, their format, their application is completely built off Christian McCaffrey and their run game, right? We see when they don't get the production on the ground, the offense goes in the toilet, right? I do think if we do have a high level production on the ground, that makes us indefensible. But I don't think everything is built and it's predicated off of the run game. But I think they can provide enough to where they can keep defense is off balance, right? To Ballgame's point, they could, you know, you can provide enough production on the ground and kind of freeze the pass rush and then, you know, implement the play action, right? They can give us just enough because I don't think Tua has proven one thing he has proven, right? He hadn't had, until McDaniel became the head coach, he never had a consistent run game. He never had that level of support, right, until maybe, you know, last year and this year. And he's proven that he can perform at an extremely high level without the benefit of that, of a high level of support from the ground game. So confidence level, I listen, if we go into Sunday with the same O-line that we had, same starting five we had last week, you know, last Sunday, yeah, I think they can provide just enough production to where they can keep that defense off balance and, you know, kind of take some pressure off Tua. But no, in terms of, for me to have complete confidence, I'm gonna need Robert Hunt. I'm gonna need Austin Jackson. I'm gonna need, you know, I'm gonna need. I know Connor Williams is not coming back. I know Isaiah Wynn won't be back, but we definitely need Austin Jackson as well as Robert Hunt, bro.
And y'all, this is gonna be a heck of a test. You know, going to Baltimore, man. Like, watching that Monday Night Football game really opened my eyes to the quality of coaching, one, that they have over there, and also the quality of players that are still healthy for them. And when it comes to,
but who worries you there? Like, other than Zay Flowers,
Kyle Hamilton banged up. He got hurt. He got hurt. So I'm not.
But I'm more so talking about how they operate. You know what I mean? I'm always big on situational football. You know, first, opening drive, the drive before halftime, opening drive after halftime, and that 2 minute offense to close out a game. And the more I watch Baltimore, man, and they've been together for so long, they just know what they're doing. And it doesn't necessarily matter the type of players that they have. I mean, obviously, when you talk about who threatens you and who's a threat over there, especially offensively, the only player that comes up is Lamar. But you still have to, keep in mind, Zay Flowers, he's a rookie, but he's dangerous. Odell Beckham is still technically Odell Beckham if he really locks in, right? Isaiah Likely, in my opinion, again, is one of the better pass catching tight ends in this league that nobody really talks about. So there's a couple things going, working in their way offensively. But my biggest concern is their defense, because all three levels are vicious. Roquan Smith is playing like
they got that
the ghost of Ray Lewis is possessed in them or something like that.
Who they got that can go vertically with us though?
No one.
Nobody. Nobody really. They're only like real vertical threat is probably like Aguilar, Nelson Aguilar, and he's not really a vertical.
No, I'm talking about who can run with Tyreek. Like who they got.
Oh, okay.
No one.
Defensive.
None of them. None of them. Not one. One.
You saw how big their eyes were last year when Tyreek was lined up, bro. Marlon Humphreys, Marcus Peters. I know Peters is not playing he's not on the team now, but Kyle Hamilton, all that, bro. Tyreek put the Veer guy in that secondary last year, and I think I think what's gonna the absence of Waddle, though. I will say this: the absence of Waddle, I think, is gonna put a kind of damper the application a little bit. I think McDaniel's gonna have to be. This is gonna have to be one of his better games in terms of.
Yeah, because Tyreek's even banged up too. You got to be realizing
exactly. Mm-hmm. He is this in terms of play design and him calling plays. This needs to be the game where he needs to put his Andy Reid footprint all over this game, because Waddle, I don't think Waddle's probably I'm hoping I'm wrong.
We won't see him until playoffs.
100%. So you got 80, 75% maybe Tyreek Hill. And I don't think we're going to be able to line up and really move the ball on the ground consistently. I think what we saw last week, again, due to, we're playing with four backups other than Teron Armstead. So there's going to be a decline. There's going to be a level of regression there. So I don't think against that front, They're going to be it's going to be repeat of what we saw against the Denver Broncos, but I do think they can provide enough support for Tua. But again, with the absence of Waddle, that's going to significantly kind of
step up. And,
we're gonna need two to three other guys to step up. You know what I mean? We need to see what we saw from Durham Smythe. We need to see more of that, and we need to see Tua looking for Durham Smythe more. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of what we saw, a lot of what we saw on Sunday, when they were bracketing Tyreek and they were taking away Waddle. Tua was looking for
stuff, man.
Exactly, bro. Tua was looking to feature him, and again, those windows have been there a good, for a good portion of the year. It's just, I mean, who are you going to? Tyreek, Waddle, or Durham Smythe? I mean, that's a no-brainer there. But sometimes, bro, in games, like we're anticipating on Sunday.
In some games, taking Smythe's going to open up Waddle and Hill.
110%. You got, again, since teams, they'll, a lot of, in terms of attention, right? When offenses are ignoring, and again, they watch tape just like everybody else does, right? They key in and hone in on tendencies just like everyone else does. So again, you saw how wide open Durham Smythe was. That was due to the lack of attention. They just didn't think, based off the tendencies that they've seen on film, they didn't think they were going to be in a position to feature him.
That's what I was going to say, Imagine if we had a game where we just threatened the seam all game, a defense wouldn't know what the fuck hit them.
100%, bro. 110%. So this is a game where I want to see, Tua. This is where I need to see that split second processing with Tua, right? Because Tyreek is not going to be, especially now that Waddle's not playing. Tyreek, them windows that we've seen with Tyreek, they're going to bracket Tyreek, bro. They're going to put that triangular coverage on him for the majority of the game, and they're going to force Tua to go to other areas of the field. And I don't think the run game is going to be there to the level to where we can rely on it. So Tua's going to have to see the field, and I think he will. And I think we need Cedric Wilson. We need another guy to step up to take some pressure off Tua and consistently make plays and move the ball. Because I think defensively, I think they're gonna have Lamar and that offense on lock, bro. I don't think Baltimore is moving the ball on the ground, right? And we all know Lamar Jackson without the threat of a run game, he's a completely different player. Yeah. So,
buddy, I'm telling you, find a way. Really buddy, Keith Mitchell. Yeah. And bro, I'm like, listen, I said it earlier. Force him to beat you for 60 minutes in the pocket. He won't. That's basically what did we do when we beat them on that Thursday night game? We blitzed the hell out of him to make him uncomfortable. And then when we weren't blitzing him, we were containing him and saying, okay, beat us in the pocket. And you see Fangio, I want to talk to you guys about this. Have you noticed Fangio's tendency where he'll give you third downs and he'll give you certain drives to see what you have. And then when you come back to it, he just totally takes it away. I don't know if you guys noticed it, especially on that opening drive.
Absolutely.
He'll give you stuff on that opening
We've seen it all year.
Yeah,
we've seen it all year.
On that opening drive, you've got it scripted, but he's scripting you. That's a killer, bro. And that's, you're talking about what Tua needs. Tua needs to have that killer mentality too, bro.
100%.
That killer needs to come out. But Fangio, he's scripting you when you think you're running your game.
Remember the Carolina game when they were like, "Oh shit, people were killing Fan." I can't believe Fangio was giving up, 14 points. What did they score for the rest of the game for the other 3 quarters? Not a damn thing, right?
And what does our defense look like since?
Well,
100%. The Chiefs game, right?
Yeah, but if you
the Chiefs game,
yeah.
Go ahead, ball game. My bad. Go ahead.
No. If you think about it, that's generally the scripts don't really ever change. Most teams will come out with a script probably anywhere between 12 to 14 plays for the first drive, and then the second, if they're successful in it, most will say to themselves, "Okay, I'm gonna go with a different."
You got like another
I'm gonna go with a small
scripted
variation. Variational change, but it's still mostly the same type of stuff because there's only so much time throughout the week to get stuff in. So if you can get a full view or understanding of what they're trying to do to you, then you can take that away, and now they stuck because most of them don't have a backup plan. And then you start seeing guys freelancing or better yet making calls at the line of scrimmage. That ain't designed by most people don't want their quarterback up at the line of scrimmage changing plays. But if the guy has the ability to do it, they'll allow him the freedom to do it. But generally, they want to have the perfect play call for the perfect defense that you got on the field. But if I show you cover 2 and you think it's cover 2 on third down, but now it's quarters, you know what I'm saying? And I got my outside guys pressing to the sidelines and playing underneath to the flat zone when your running back is flaring out to go catch the flat route, and I blow it up. Now you thinking, well, shit, they just gave it to me three plays previously or 3 different times. Other than they switched it up on us. What am I gonna do? Like most guys don't have the for that. I think Fangio is amazing for that.
But, yes.
We gotta continue to do what we've done most of the games that we won. We gotta dictate to Lamar. We can't let Lamar dictate to us.
Yeah.
We do that.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
Boys, don't you just are like? Don't you have the same? Don't you feel what the players feel? They have boys. They feel like they can do whatever they got to do in Baltimore after what they did last year because it's most of our cores back. Like this team believes they can walk in there and they can get down and they're never out of it.
I agree.
Right.
I agree.
Like we talk about not fearing people in the AFC. You think this team fears the Ravens? I don't think so at all after what they did last year.
No.
Even the year before that, in Miami.
Let me ask y'all a question.
Go ahead. Yeah, go.
Is the number is I mean, I know you got an extra week to sit and watch with the number 1, but is the number 2 seed really that bad? You're still guaranteed 2 home games.
Yeah, you're guaranteed 2. You're guaranteed 2 home playoff games.
And we're bad off coming off the bye under McDaniel. You skipped that. I mean,
great point.
No, to your point, Ballgame, it's not a bad thing. But if you got an opportunity to secure the number 1 seed, have home field throughout, we all know the Dolphins are completely different. When the team at home compared to the team on the road on Mike McDaniel are like almost night and day. I want to take my chances with teams. You have to come to my backyard, right, to get to Las Vegas. And if you got an opportunity to secure that, I think you push all your chips in the middle of the table and you go try to secure that number 1 seed, in my opinion, because that's, again, we all know 2 different teams at home than on the road. You get that additional rest that you're going to need, right, to get a lot of key and core foundational players back as close to 100% as they could possibly be. I just think, again, if it winds up being we're number 2, so be it. But if you got an opportunity to get that number 1 seed, bro, you go get it.
If the playoffs started today, we'd be the 2 seed against the Colts, correct?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't want to play them.
That's why I'm saying. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Martin. My bad, Martin. Go ahead, bro.
No, real quick. I was gonna say that's why I'm saying to myself, maybe if it boils down to week 18 against the Bills, man, if it's an elimination game, not necessarily for us not only winning the division but keeping Buffalo out the playoffs, I think that should be treated like a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but with the way guys have been dropping like flies, do you risk that?
Listen,
like Tyreek's banged up.
To keep Buffalo out the playoffs, I'll risk it. To keep Buffalo out the playoffs.
If they got things locked up, but if they beat Baltimore,
what if something worse happens to Tyreek's ankle? like Buffalo ain't worth it to me, bro.
No, I agree. If they got it locked up, going it like. If they have it locked,
if we have the 2 seed and there's no way we can get the 1 seed, and the 2 seed seemed because if we win this weekend, we no matter what, if we win this weekend, we lock up the AFC East, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I believe so. Yeah. With 12 wins. Mm-hmm.
So
I believe. I'm be the first to tell you. I believe Bill Belichick gonna beat Bills on Bills this week anyway. So
can I say this?
That'll be crazy.
If we go into Baltimore. If we go into Baltimore and Tua plays well and we lock up the AFC East in Baltimore on the road, that's a lot more narratives killed, gentlemen. I'm just saying.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
You know
That's a
something, to
fact.
be honest with you, though, in regards to Tua specifically, and we talked about this privately, reason Martin as well. In terms of checking the franchise quarterback box with Tua, he's virtually, and again, you got to give that kid a ton of credit, a ton of it. 99.9% of it. In terms of checking that box, we all know this, the traits on the field, right? But the work ethic off the field. You talk about he's got his health now. I think
But remember when they lied to us? Remember, EM, when I reported that? I was the first to have it on Patreon before Barry Jackson. They all confirmed me. But remember when I reported what I was hearing about his work ethic, players not liking him? And remember when I had the conversation before I posted it on Patreon and stuff? And I said, remember I said, it feels like it's Tua's PR team versus our coaching staff's PR team. And now that we've seen his work ethic under McDaniel, it's evident that they were trying to assassinate his character to win the tug of war to outlast Tua.
100%.
Wow.
100%.
That's wild.
And the work ethic,
His hard knocks has showed how big of a leader he is.
Oh, for sure. And the only thing we need now, okay, he's got his health back. He's in the best physical condition he's probably ever been. I think his arm is stronger than I've ever seen it on film, right? So what we need more for the last box that Tua needs to check, obviously we need consistency from him moving here on out. But we just need those moments. We need those when his team needs him, just like Sunday, right? When we need a play here, we need a play there. We need nothing else is working. And we need your quarterback to make a significant play on 3rd and 8, right? To extend the drive. You know what I mean?
Because of injuries and stuff, he's only ever had the opportunity for regular season moments. Like, do you think people would care about? Okay, listen, we're 11-4 with 2 games left. We could sweep out if we wanted to. It makes you look at how minuscule those losses were. Everyone was making a big deal of. And if we don't win the number 1 seed, we're not going to point to Philly. We're not even going to point to KC. We're all going to point to Tennessee. Okay. I want to make that point very fucking watch out. It's not KC. It's not Philly. It's not Buffalo in the season. It's the Titans we're going to point to, but he hasn't had a chance for that playoff moment yet. And
but it's
coming, baby.
It's coming, right? But
and he's gonna win. I'm telling you, he's gonna win.
Again, and to be fair though, I mean the durability, that's part of it, right? You gotta be there, right? So the fact that he's done that, and again, we need consistency here on out, but we just need those moments when your team needs you the most. Are you the best version of yourself, right? In those moments, you need that big 3rd and 8 conversion to extend the drive. You know what I mean? In the 4th quarter, when you're down 3 quarters, when you're down 2 points, when you're down 3 points or 4 points, and you need a touchdown to win the game. We need more of those moments from Tua. And once he achieves that, I mean, I don't know what else people want in terms of, your quote unquote franchise level quarterback. What else does he need to? I mean, what else could he possibly do to convince people?
Well, see, I think, boys, this is where I think it gets lost in translation. People try to come out here and spin narratives, EM and Ballgame and Martin, like he doesn't do it. They forget about Arizona. They forget, they forget about, look at
about the Chargers game, the first game of the year, when he looked like the best player in the league, bro.
Well, do you remember the Atlanta game when the Deshaun Watson rumors were at the highest, and he
2021.
He threw those 2 interceptions, and then he comes back and he ends up throwing 4 touchdowns, leaves the field with the lead, and the championship defense everyone told me we had blew the lead to Atlanta. Or he was good enough the week before against Jacksonville, but our coach got out coached by Urban Meyer. But, people forget that he stepped up in moments we've lost, and people around him have loved it. Now, look at Casey. You brought up the Chargers, EM. Dog. Tua did enough in the first quarter where the ball shouldn't even have been in his hands on the last drive. Waddle gets down to the 30, right? Penalty comes back. We leave 3 to 7 points. People forget Tyreek Hill had a drop at the KC 30 as well before the fumble. Had a drop. We leave 3 to 7 points on the field. We don't get points. Then you have the fumble at the 31 that leaves 3 to 7 on the field for us and puts 7. Bro, that's a 16 to 26-point swing in the first half alone. We should have fucking blown out KC. Should have been out of hand. Our defense did enough. And if we didn't have drops and penalties, there's the fifth man. We blew it up, bro.
Oh,
Louis.
Finally.
Good evening, gentlemen. Sorry for the late entrance, but good evening.
It's better late than never.
Good evening, boss.
Man, listen, rough night, man. When you got these teenage young boys turning into men, they find themselves in a little bit of trouble. So I had to go.
Bro, I got a 3 and a 5-year-old girl, and they're already hooligans, bro. You ain't got to tell me nothing.
Man, listen, the 20-year-old, man, he's good, man, but the 18-year-old, he's
you know what's
fire,
crazy?
man.
You got a 20-year-old and you don't look a day over 35, bro.
Stop lying to that man, bro. Stop lying, man. Stop lying to that man. Yeah.
Thank God, man. My sons have not given me 1 ounce of headache the entire existence. I'm so proud of them.
Well, bro, Lewis has got young ball games.
That's impressive.
Ask Lewis what his son plays, bro.
He plays.
What does his son play?
Last year, and he's a senior this year. Plays running back, receiver, corner. They drop him down to linebacker a little bit, but pretty good, man. Can't complain. Proud of him, but he just got caught up in a little situation today. But
little
for the most part, he's
spice,
good.
bro. Little defensive spice for you.
Absolutely.
Reel him back in, Lewis. Reel him back in. He'll be all right.
Well, listen, the academics is good. Everything is good. It's just, holidays are around, and without giving too much information, some parents weren't in the house, and he was in a house he shouldn't have been with a certain young lady or whatever. And,
out the window he goes, huh?
Right.
He goes, bro.
Well, Pop over. I guess Daddy over there wasn't really happy, and he was,
Of course,
I had to go over there and kind of set things straight.
Calm down. Calm down.
Yeah.
Bro, this guy's speaking my future. Like, bro.
Hey, when you got boys, you don't have to worry about one Peter. When you got girls, you got to worry about all the Peters.
Yeah.
Dog, that's
a fact. Damn. That's a fact, man.
This guy,
and Lewis, just to fill you in on what we've been kind of, chopping up with. What we're basically talking about, like Tua's maturation, right? And now this is, let's go into Dolphins After Dark. I think what's not talked about enough is Tua's faith, man. We don't talk about it enough.
On the daughters thing, because I know Ballgame will appreciate it. Ballgame. You ever heard Daughters by Nas, bro? All right.
No.
Okay, you know what he says? He says, they say the coolest players and foulest heartbreakers in the world. God gets us back. He makes us have precious little girls.
I believe that.
Damn.
And that's what it is, bro. I think about all the girls that did wrong, and I'm like, God damn, they weren't lying.
It's coming. the universe did not forget.
Got him.
But trust me, man. The maturation of Tua, man. I think we have to really start talking about his faith a little more, man. Because I'm just saying to the faith about it, man. Because again, if you look at half of the stuff that he's gone through, and he's still here, and we're still talking about him as an MVP candidate. Who else can handle that type of struggles?
He's been built for it since Hawaii, since he was at high school, right? Like he's used to it.
As a kid, yeah, really.
Like look at how big of a star he was at Alabama, right? And look at how good he is at it. Like a lot of no one knew until he was marrying his wife that he had been, because he had been with her since early on in his Bama days, and no one knew.
Yeah, because he's very private. He's very sacred with a lot of his stuff.
EM says it all the time that he thinks Tua's got a bigger calling than just football. He talks about his faith all the time.
100%. I think so. That to me, that's obviously I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of Tua, the player. But to me, I'm more impressed with the man off the field, because I think that platform, and again, not to get into this discussion, about beliefs and religions and all of that, but Tua and I have a similar ideology in terms of faith, right? I know a lot of people might not believe that, and I know that might be breaking news, right? But you know, we have a similar faith. But and I personally think, you know, where we are in the world today, you know, that message that man, you know, 2,000 years when he walked this earth, right? I think that message has gotten watered down and diluted, and that's why that has contributed to a lot of the issues worldly that we presently are enduring right now, you know, all over the world. I mean, this world is in, you know, utter chaos, right? Utter chaos. I mean, in society, our culture, our world is on a steady decline. And I think the message that Tua, and again, it's just my beliefs, and I'm not trying to impose my beliefs on anyone. Salute and respect to everybody, no matter what your belief structure is, right? But I happen to share a commonality with Tua in terms of, you know, our beliefs, what we believe in, and what we think this world needs. And I think the platform that Tua is currently building and establishing on an NFL level, right? Collegiate level first, now NFL level, and I think ultimately is going to lead to the bigger and most important platform is his message of letting the world know, you know who Jesus Christ is, in my opinion. And I think ultimately that's the stage, that's the biggest stage for Tua. And again, I think Tua acknowledges that. I've heard interviews over the years about Tua, about what his vision is in terms of his platform off the field is. So to me, I told you, what do we say? When that man was as open about his faith a couple of weeks ago, and he was very detailed about his faith. And I had never seen a professional athlete.
Post game, right?
Yeah,
post-game presser.
I had never seen or heard an athlete that detailed about his faith, specifically. I've never seen on a public platform. I've never heard on a public platform. And once Tua was that open and that honest, that transparent about what his faith is and what his message is, I said Tua can never do anything on a football field that would make me more impressed and more pleased with him as a man than when I heard him stand at that podium. Didn't I say that reason when we talked later tonight?
Yeah, bro. You know what was you know what's crazy, going back to before we drafted EM, and then the injury and everything. Remember when we were on the panel and I would always bring it up how it felt like destiny? You remember how I always use that?
Right.
I'd always bring that up.
I remember that.
It felt like destiny with Tua and the Miami Dolphins. And look at the growth you've seen, the development of him as a man and a player. And you look at where we're at as a franchise right now. Doesn't it kind of look like it's destiny still? Like that hasn't wavered,
that's
bro.
A very
it's crazy.
Good point.
It's crazy. We should have had no chance. Like, people don't realize Chris Greer, after that national championship game, was going around the draft 2 years before this kid was eligible, telling everyone, I'm going to draft him. He's my guy. I'm going to draft him. We had no chance of drafting him up until that injury, bro. People forget how good he was in that LSU game and how he basically, people forget Jerry Jeudy dropped the football that should have won that game. People forget that, bro. But anyways, people forget Tua. We wouldn't have had a shot. Teams would have moved up past us. The Chargers, remember how the Chargers wanted him? Even their GM admitted they basically settled for Justin Herbert because Tua went. Bro, remember you go on Twitter. I remember Twitter back in that day. All the Chargers Twitters, bro, all these Herbert fans, they all had their Tua jersey swaps up there. Everyone wanted Tua, bro. People forget this. And then the injury happened and he fell in our lap. And people forget, remember, EM, remember the other 31 other teams in the NFL gave us the okay to give him a physical in Indianapolis. And then his pro day tape came out a couple weeks later. And listen, buddy, and then not only did he overcome, look at what he's been through. Look at what has built him into the player and man he is today. Look at with the Flores regime, with the injuries at Alabama. I'm sure not every day was sunshine, rainbows, and lollipops under Nick Saban as a head coach. His dad was a hard ass. Like, that's what made us pause on Brian Flores. Anyone who's watching the situation closely, we're like, bro, his dad was a hard ass to him. Saban was a hard ass. He doesn't have a problem dealing with hard asses. There's something wrong with that guy, right? Like, that was the first red flag that went off for people. And bro, and now you see it. He's not even being cultured. He's not even being coddled. it's just everything's being tailored to him, and he's actually being shown respect for what he's capable of doing. And man, you look at the level he's at as a man and just as a human being, bro, like beyond as a player. Like if you asked any franchise what they would want in their quarterback as a human being and a player, I guarantee you,
it's
90% of them would say Tua Tagovailoa. And the fact that the play is now matching the human being.
Yeah.
What franchise? I mean, guys,
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, yes, I agree. He has impeded himself from having the chance in the playoffs through injuries, but the chances are coming this year, and he's going to win some games. And I'm going to tell you this right now, bro, 26 other teams, 25 other teams are looking for a franchise quarterback. 22 other teams would change their top. If you ain't top 10, they would pretty much swap you out. So what? 22 other teams are looking for the franchise quarterback. We've been waiting for this for 22 years. Every time we log on X, we're seeing some new record that Marinos that's falling. You know, if this offense stays together for another couple of years, that 5,000 yards in a season will fall. It will fall.
Yeah. Yeah, it's done.
Oh, yeah,
right? Like,
sure.
we've been praying for this, boys. All of y'all who watched Ricky, and we're like, bro, me and Ballgame, was it Ballgame? I don't know who I was talking about it with, but I think, no, it was Todd. And it was me and Todd, and I was saying, bro, anyone who was a true Dolphin fan who remembers back in the day with the Ricky era, bro, Marino missed them by like 3-4 years. Like, anyone who watched the Marino era and then watched Ricky said, oh my God, if these guys overlapped for 3 years, he would have went out like Elway. He would have had his Terrell
Davis. That's a fact. Back to back.
100%. 100%.
Dolphin fans, we missed it by that sliver, that fraction of a time frame. And so we had to deal with Jay Fiedler. You want to talk, people want to talk about Tua not coming up in moments, boys. I've seen guys who don't come up in moments. And it started with Jay Fiedler, boys. I've seen stacked teams go to waste because the quarterback didn't step up, bro.
I'm trying to wipe them nightmares out of my memory bank. Reason, God damn it! Jay Fiedler, my God,
bro. Tannehill, you want to talk about? We finally got Tannehill, a playoff team. Couldn't stay healthy, and we watched Matt Moore, absolute disaster against Pittsburgh. I've seen guys who can't hold. Bro, I've done seen it, bro. What are we talking about? As much as people love Chad Pennington, the problem with that season was we needed to build a good start and then unleash the Wildcat heading into the playoffs, and you could have ran through the playoffs. If you would have released that, if you would have had a good start and made the playoffs as like a wild card team, and you unleashed the fucking Wildcat, what are people going to do, bro? They got fucking 3 weeks until you're in the Super Bowl. 4 weeks, people are going to be we would have gone through like a hot knife through butter. But where was Chad Pennington in the playoffs? Where was he, bro? Broken down old version of himself, right?
Pretty much.
Pick sixes to Ed Reed, man.
You want to talk about 2 turnovers, bro? If you want to talk about 2 turnovers, you ain't never watched Dan Marino, me, Richmond, and Ballgame. I had Dan Marino's lineman up here talking about bro. Do you remember us in the playoffs having to overcome 3 or 4 pick games?
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
And reason, you know what this all sums up to? Tua having Tua as our quarterback with our fan base. It's like our fan base. You can compare our fan base to like a drowning victim, right? That's in the ocean. That's like, oh my God, I'm drowning. And finally a lifeguard comes in to save them, and they're fighting the lifeguard because they're so traumatized from almost, dying pretty much, right? And that's essentially what it is when it comes to Tua and any mistake that he has. Right. They got to learn.
Shout out to Sackman. Shout out to Sackman for the Marcus Vick shout out, bro. Taking it.
I love the Marcus. I love the Marcus, man. That B-Tech.
Damn, Martin drowning. That's why
Cleo Lemon.
That's why I was singing in the air tonight, because it's about someone drowning and watching someone drown.
Oh shit, Cleo Lemon.
That's great. Matt White. Bro, Gus
Pat
Frerotte.
White, yeah.
Pat
Gus
White.
Frerotte.
for Rot. Oh,
Yeah, I
John
watched Pat White.
Beck.
I watched-
Brian
John
Greasy,
Beck.
Brian Greasy because of his dad,
y'all
bro.
remember-
Are you crazy?
John Beck.
John
Y'all
Beck.
remember
Bro,
John
I
Beck?
remember being convinced
do
John
y'all
Beck was
remember-
going to be something
I
at
know, right?
BYU, bro. And then remember when we got rid of Rosen and Rosen's stats were identical to John Beck? It was
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, go ahead, Ballgame. Go ahead.
Hey, do y'all remember? Do you remember? You remember seeing Pat White's soul leave his body?
Oh man,
Bro.
I'll never forget it.
Oh, my God.
He never played a down. He
No,
never.
he
He played
didn't.
another
No.
down.
No,
Did
he
he
didn't.
retire after that
Yeah,
ball
Yeah, it
game?
was over.
He never played another down after that.
He's back.
Yeah,
Thank God
so-
it. Boys.
It was over.
Bro, that's so funny, man.
I thought we could, what we got out of Pennington later on, I thought we could get out of Trent Green. But that, you want to see, that's why, again, I go back to Tua. Oh, he used to retire. Bro, I remember concussions. Trent Green was
He came to us
concussions, bro.
concussed.
You blew on that guy, and,
Right.
and he had CTE, bro. He was at that point. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, that guy had like
Right.
8 or
Him
9
and who was the
documented
tight end?
concussions.
Yeah, who was the tight end that came
What?
to us with the concussion issue?
Oh,
Who?
Cameron Jordan.
Cameron
Or
Jordan.
Jordan
Oh,
Cameron.
yeah.
Cameron Jordan.
Yeah.
Cameron Jordan.
Yeah.
John Embry.
That guy-
Remember how good Cameron Jordan was under John Embry in Cleveland?
Yeah.
Yeah, in
He
Cleveland.
was a
Yeah.
beast. He was a
Look,
beast, and that was
look.
Embry. That was Embry.
Look, man, we've been struggling, man. We missed
That's
on
why
Drew
I'm telling
Brees in
people, be patient on
2001.
Claypool.
Mm.
Be patient on Claypool. Y'all panicking about
Mhm.
Claypool. Neil used to hit me up panicking about Ezukanma last year. I said, yo, we got fucking Wes Welker. We got the best wide receiver coach
Right.
in the NFL. He fucking went to
Right.
Texas Tech, bro. If anyone knows
Yeah,
how
he'll get 'em
unadvanced these Texas Tech these route trees at Texas Tech, you guys are talking about Randy Moss. That's Texas Tech, right? Like that's basically
That's a
Texas
fact.
Tech. That's why they
Mhm.
stashed Ezukanma. It's the same thing with and then Ezukanma said, "Oh, I've been cross training with Embry and stuff too, right? With a tight end."
Mhm.
It's the same thing. What they're gonna do with Claypool, they're gonna try and bring Claypool back on the cheap, and you're gonna see. I bet you guys. I think this head thing, this neck thing, is more serious with Ezukanma than they're letting on, and I think they might
Of
cut
course
bait.
it is.
And Claypool is gonna fit that role, and I think he's kind of bought in.
Well, it's funny you
Wow.
bring that up, reason about the nature of Ezukanma's injury.
Mm.
Have you heard? Okay, I know they said it was a college
Here we
injury.
go.
Yeah,
A college injury that resurfaced somehow, but
yeah.
there's been some conversations being had, in particular in these Twitter streets, that Erik, the true cause of
Here we
injury,
go.
right, is a direct result of a physical altercation he had with another player on the. Have you heard anything
No,
with
that's bullshit.
Cam Smith in regard
That's
Cam
bullshit.
Smith
That's
specifically?
bullshit.
Have you
That's
heard anything
bullshit.
remotely close to that, bro?
That's bullshit, bro.
Okay, I just want you to put that rumor
And
or
if someone's trying to tie that to Cam Smith not playing, we talked about this. The only reason he's not playing is because Fangio just does not trust his
Can't
corners.
trust him.
He trusts his
Yeah.
vets. Vets get leeway from him, and you'll see Cam Smith
Yep.
unleashed next year because they're really not going to have much of a choice. But it goes back to what we were having the conversation with Ballgame earlier too, right? This is documented. We talked about this backstage and privately. I've talked about it with Ballgame. I'm talking about with you. He doesn't like the whole ball hawk thing. I pointed it out. Notice how they slyly threw how they were pointing out Xavier Howard, not this episode, but last episode of Hard Knocks, how he baited a little bit and he bit
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
Levis hit the honey hole. It's the
Mhm.
same. They want you to, old school guys, stay home, trust your responsibilities. It's my scheme. It's supposed to be executed the way I want it to. They will give Jalen Ramsey will get freelance because he's the 1%. But even still, I know for a fact, boys, Jalen Ramsey there was some shadow talk, and I know for a fact Fangio does not like veteran players coming to him and saying, I want to do this, I want to do that. He's stuck in his ways. He wants it executed the way he wants to execute. That's why I reported and I stated he scoffed at Xavier Howard when Ramsey was out. Remember, Xavier Howard wanted to shadow early on.
Yeah, Stephon Diggs. Yep.
Yeah, he said, no,
Mhm.
not happening. Listen, Jalen Ramsey might get his ear a little bit more, but at the end of the day, still he wants it executed the way he wants it executed.
Right.
And that's just how it is.
There's a plan.
Like that, man.
There's a plan. Mhm.
Trust the scheme matters, right? So he says, Trust the scheme. Trust my responsibilities, right?
Scheme matters. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'll say this: anyone saying our offense is remedial is an idiot and doesn't know football.
Who's saying that? Who's saying that? Where would that come from?
We have one of the more complicated offenses in the NFL. Like,
where did that come from? I'm gonna need a name on that. Who said that? Who said that?
This man instigating, bro.
Remedial, really? I want to know who said that. Please enlighten me.
Nah, man.
I don't give clout to those who don't deserve it.
Well, goddamn it, this is Dolphins. This is Dolphins After Dark. Goddamn it, right? The gloves are. We don't wear boxing gloves here. It's bare knuckles. It's bare knuckles on this motherfucker, right?
Hey, you know what? Well, when it's on its own channel, I'm all for it, baby. Dubs MC said donates 10 and says Dolphins are a franchise of first NFL team to have an undefeated season in the Super Bowl era. Dolphins will be the first team to win a Super Bowl on Hard Knocks. Let's break the curse. Reigning donates 10. Fake Spike says awesome show tonight. EM missed you, big bro. He used his membership to like he's been a member for 32 months. Used his membership message.
That is the freaking homie. Fake Spike. Hey, salute to you, bro. Salute.
Yeah, that's a day one, bro. That's a day one.
100%. Sure.
Dubs MC says, what play did y'all think that convo Tua and Armstead were talking about during Hard Knocks was? What triggered it? Also, Tua's leadership was chef's kiss. I haven't watched Hard Knocks yet. I've got it downloaded. I'm going to be chopping all 22. I've actually been editing the all 22 while I've been doing this, and I'm going to do all 22, and I'm going to watch Hard Knocks when we're done here tonight. I haven't watched it yet, but EM, Louis,
I tell you what he did do.
Might have watched it. What?
I tell you what Tua did do on that play that on the play to get that first down that we needed. When it was like 3rd and 7, and he threw that screen to Tyreek. That wasn't the original play.
Yeah, he checked into that. He checked into it.
Yeah,
he checked into it. And again, like a lot of people,
how it works. Hey, notice how people were trying to spin him as stupid a couple years ago, but every time he checks into it, it's something to Tyreek. It's either a bomb for a touchdown or it's a crucial third down. Notice how I'm just saying.
Right. But listen, I kind of want to touch on this whole game manager / game changer narrative, right? Okay, so
Cam Newton hating ass.
That's exactly what he is, a goddamn hater, right? And that's why he's at the crib watching football just like us right now.
Yeah.
In his early 30s, it's not like he played till he was 40, by the way.
Right.
So I think when you talk about, I know what perspective Cam Newton and a lot of people come from. They think game changing, what distinguishes between a game manager and a game changer is generally a dual threat guy that can make plays with his legs as well as his arm, right?
Everyone with legs is Michael Vick, EM.
Right. And again, and as dynamic as Michael Vick was, where's the Super Bowl? Where's the ring on his finger? Last time I checked, right?
It's buried next to a dog.
So I think what is vastly underappreciated.
Martin just got that.
What's that?
You said, "Where's his ring?" And he said, "It's buried next to a dog."
Oh yeah. Oh damn. Listen,
that is a.
Hey, I think what's grossly underappreciated is when we're having this entertaining this conversation, right? Lewis and I kind of talked about this earlier, right?
Okay.
We talked about when Tua went to the line and checked out of that play and checked into that screen, right? Mm-hmm. Did Tua doing that, making that check, did that not change the game? Did that not extend the drive?
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
So I think which bugs the absolute shit out of me is that people think changing the game, right, only comes with a player's ability to make plays with his legs as well as his arm. Bro, a player can change the game mentally. A player can change. And again, why we prefer, right, reason to myself, pocket guys, is because when a player is structured, when a player wins from the pocket, when a player wins with timing, wins with accuracy, puts the ball only in a place that his receiver can get it, defense can't do it. That play called ball game, as a coach, ball game, there's no defending that.
You can't. Yeah.
So when these idiots like Cam Newton,
Tom Brady, brother, it's Tom Brady.
100%. So when these idiots like
deflating, bro.
100%. So when these idiots like Cam Newton come out and say, "Well, there's a difference between a game manager and a game changer," okay, there's some truth to that. But when the names that he mentioned, in regard, especially with Tua, that game manager type of label does not apply to Tua. Not this version, not the 2023 version of Tua Tagovailoa.
EM, let me give you another game-changing play, right? And it comes early on the first possession for the Miami Dolphins on offense. The third down play to Jalen Waddle, right? That dunk throw. Standing 3 yards inside of your end zone, right?
Is Cam Newton making that throw? Is Cam Newton making that throw in that scenario?
Not. But that's a game-changing play, because at the end of the day, if that's an incompletion, right? Now we're punting from basically the back of our end zone. You're going to give Dallas good field position, right? That's a game-changing play right there. So I'm with you, Ian. This narrative that game changers, I'm not looking for a game changer, because realistically, how like in a 60-minute game, you're not going to be a game changer for all 60 minutes. What you're looking for is the moments, right? When the moments present themselves to have a game-changing play or to affect the game, right? That's the plays you need your quarterbacks to execute. And Tua's doing that at a very high level this season, man. It just is.
And Louis, I categorize game changers as winners. That's it. There is no way around to unequate a game changer with the winner. They're one and the same. So when it comes to that conversation, if you're not a winner and you have the abilities, as far as the physical tools, you're not a game changer. You understand? But if you don't have those physical abilities and you're audibling into plays or making certain throws that only you can make, you know what I mean? And I'm not talking about just arm talent. I'm talking like precision passes. You're a game changer, because a lot of players on defense can't make certain plays on the football when you put it in the perfect spot. There's too many nuances to it, to where the more we try to correlate game changing with the mobility factor, and even arm talent or what have you, you're missing the point, that if you're not winning, you're not a game changer. So that's where it all boils down to, man. Can you elevate your team into those positions?
You know what though? Well, by definition, Cam Newton's definition of a game changer, everybody else, for the most part, a lot of people's definition of a game changer compared to a game manager. Game managers are the ones that have won consistently at the highest level. Name me the guy, the dual threat quarterback that has won a freaking Super Bowl. That relies, again, if in terms of their application. But Steve Young was more of a pocket guy when he won.
Passer. He was a good
when he won in '94. He had transformed his game. He was more of he became a pocket guy with the element of mobility. Not the run first guy and passing was second. He didn't, he transformed his game. So we need to be as opposed to looking at game managers as guys, that are frowned upon. We need to look at those dual threat guys, because those guys have yet to win at the highest level. You see how crazy that is?
And the pocket guy, and yet the pocket guys were the ones that were supposed to be going out of style.
100%, 100%, bro. It needs to stop.
I said earlier, right? We got this whole thing of pocket guys versus athletes that play quarterback, basically. I said that
100%,
earlier, right?
When
we were talking about 100%. Whether or not the MVP contest, people still, they're trying to do all these different things to change what the requirement is. But at the end of the day, a dude that stands in that pocket and against all that adversity of those guys rushing at him, and can still dial in and find his guy in stride, put the ball on where only his guy can grab it to make that play, is still going to be the quintessential essence of what a true quarterback is. I don't give a shit what nobody say. At the end of the day, if you're a true fan of the game, that's what you want to see. You want to see your guy hang in that pocket and make throws from the pocket. Anybody, any quarterback, it can go out there on the edge every now and then and make a couple plays, but standing in that pocket when you know the heat is coming right down the barrel at you, and getting that ball off and getting it to their receivers to make the big plays is what the essence of football is really all about. And there's only a couple guys that can really do that. And
it's an art ball game.
And we got one of them. And we have one. We're lucky to have one.
Correct.
Yeah.
Bro, I want you guys to think about this. The guy has over a 71 completion percentage. His completion percentage this month is it's around 80%.
This is a Drew Brees type of season, by the way, statistically that Tua is having. Outside of us not capitalizing on our red zone attempts, on our goal line attempts, Tua should have over 30 touchdowns just based off of us just missing as far as play design and opportunities when we get into the red zone. He should be the clear cut front runner as league MVP. It's just nobody wants to admit that Tua has taken a significant leap. And so be it. So be it. We can see
this out. This is what he is in December. He's 3-1. All right. All right. He has a 72.9 completion percentage. He had an 87.5 completion percentage against the Jets. All right. He's thrown for 1,037 yards. He's averaging about 259.3 yards per game in December. He's got 4 touchdowns in 4 games, no interceptions, no interceptions in those games. I mean, what are we talking about right now? I mean, this quarterback rating for this month too is 110.7.
Yeah, this is a certified December for Tua this year, man.
That is insane.
Bro,
certified December.
Absolutely insane.
Boys, but people, listen, it goes back to what I said. I kept going against the narrative last year. Y'all know I stood on that hill. People were trying to tell me he can't win in December. I said, yo, fuck y'all for saying that because it's bullshit. Y'all were worried he wouldn't perform in snow in December, and Sherfield and Tyreek Hill both had chances on the same drive to score the game-winning touchdown. They dropped the football. We settled for 3. I mean, Boyer blew it before that half ended, gave up a 3rd and 17, and they end up scoring on that drive. If either Sherfield or Hill or Boyer do their job, we win that game. Aaron Rodgers wasn't even the same stratosphere when we played Green Bay on Christmas Day. It took Tua getting concussed, and then anyone who had watched Tua all season knew something was wrong and something was off because he was lights out until that concussion. He showed us last year I can ball in December. It's just we got a small sample size, and because you got people out here who try to be the loudest on any platform, name it, Facebook, IG, wherever. Last year, they were trying to spin that narrative that they were trying to even spin that narrative that he was one of the reasons we lost in Buffalo when it was, how many times have we seen Tua step up and people around him let him down? I mean, I named KC earlier, right? Philly, Tyreek had a walk-in touchdown. I mean, we saw another big drop this year from this week from Tyreek, right? Tyreek, people don't want to talk about it, but Tyreek drops the ball in key moments. People look, I named the one in December last year. I named the one in December last year in that Buffalo game. I named the Philly game. I named KC. He had the drop at the 30, and then he had the fumble that left points on, both left 3 to 7 points on. I mean, him alone, if you think about it, him alone, he cost us 6 to 14 points on the board for us and put 7 on the board for them. So him alone was a 13 to 21 point swing in the other direction. Him alone, you could, if you want to blame someone for costing us a game beside McDaniel's play calling at times, Tyreek Hill, and it's a theme. This is a theme. I like this is going like guys. He didn't have his first 100-yard game against Bill Belichick though this year. Right? Last year, he didn't even have 100 yards against New England in either one times he faced them. I'm just saying, like, there's other guys here who aren't stepping up in the moments, but people don't want to talk about it because why? They're so enamored with the speed, the splash plays, et cetera, et cetera. When, we're the definition of win as a team and lose as a team. If you watch the team, you see it
100%.
Yeah, a lot of people, our fan base, bro, they don't like to have those difficult conversations about, a select few of our players, right? Tua, I put him in that category as well. But at the end of the day, we want to be in a position to where we can critique when warranted, right? No matter who the player is. Exactly. Tyreek, he needs to address this issue because what if that drop? I mean, man, you can't put the ball in a better place. If you're a quarterback and considering how much duress Tua was under to even get the throw off.
Even break it down. You heard Shannon, who had his back and forth with Tua, even blamed Tyreek on that drop.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the level of duress he was under, to the hit that he took to even get the ball off, bro.
Yeah.
You know, and
Right,
again,
yeah.
this lack of arm-strength narrative needs to stop yesterday, bro.
Back to back
Like,
50-yard dimes just
I
to shut
mean,
everyone
come
up,
on, man.
bro.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Well,
It
you
needs
said
to
it
stop
earlier.
yesterday.
Name a pass this year that hasn't been in stride. But what was it? Again, we see that lack of patience in the fan base, EM. They should have had the chemistry from day one. It should have been all in stride from day one.
Yeah,
It's,
I know.
that's what it is,
players
right?
are not supposed to develop, right? They're supposed to
Yeah.
come into the league as finished
Nah.
products.
No,
Bro.
there's a level of practice that you have to have before the season on air. But when you put on the helmets and shoulder pads and you're going up against another opponent, it's a whole nother element that you have to learn for you to really get on the same page. So nah, man, it ain't no one day thing. It takes time.
Especially with that kind of speed, right? And look at, I'm
Especially with
talking
that
about
speed.
this. Listen, I'm going to talk about this. Tyreek, right? Like, people want to say, oh, we force-fed Tyreek. And I've tried to say, like, if you actually look at it, it's been kind of organic because, I mean, look at Tyreek. Let's talk about him for a second. Even Jalen Water on this I can talk about. Look at how better they are. Their releases off the line of scrimmage. Their footwork is clearly better. Look at how they're using the jab step this year when they're stemming the routes. You're seeing them use the jab steps more than they ever have. And look at how they're getting guys to bite with their speed and then boom, they're done. These reads are organically getting open. What people don't understand is, let's talk about the offense and the scheme. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle have become better route runners because they've been working on their footwork, but they also understand the route concepts.
Right.
Exactly.
Hill talked about it, right? Tyreek said last year, I just relied on my athleticism and speed. This year, I understand the route tree a lot better. And what people don't realize is this is a fact. No one understands that offense. No one understands that offense better on that offense than Tua right now. That's crazy.
Right.
I would agree.
He's a maestro.
He's dumb. He can't take on offenses. When even I go back to Gailey in that ISO offense. What did Tua threw him under the bus without throwing? Remember what he said after that Chargers game? Remember he said that him and a lot of the players were questioning why they wanted to run certain things, and they were going to Gailey. He even said, me and multiple players went up and we were wondering, okay, why are we running this? Why are we doing this? Because even the players, Doug, I heard Gailey used to spend 40 to 50 minutes on some practices on how to snap the ball because he didn't like how Fitzpatrick, Tua took the snaps, bro. I'm not even joking.
40 minutes on snapping the fucking
I'm not
ball,
even joking.
Bro.
Gailey, dude, Tua was, listen, now that we understand Tua, and I know I said it back then, and I'll say it to this day, and I think y'all will agree with me, Tua was just politely throwing Gailey under the bus. Like, that's what he did, bro. Now that we know Tua, and how Tua, even when he's not at fault, he takes it on his shoulder. Everyone in that room knew Gailey was not the answer, bro. Dude, listen, I know guys through certain training regiments and stuff where they've joked around in front of people that I know and said after Gailey left, the offense used to make fun of Gailey. Like, the players used to regularly, routinely make fun of Gailey after he left. And the practice, that's how I know about the snapping, because that was one of the things they used to make fun of him about. So Gailey was out there, bro.
Yeah, it's a shame, man. Again, we it's not that we're ungrateful, but we just don't understand how good we got it with the coaching, with the players, with the opportunity. We should not be complaining. The only thing we need to do is sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Man.
Well, and we even have a succession. How many teams have the succession plan we have in place? Look at this. If Frank Smith leaves, why do you think Darrell Bevell was turning down interviews? Because he's next in line. And then when Darrell Bevell leaves, who do you think is going to replace him? It's clearly Wes Welker. Wes Welker is in line to be the guy after Bevell. Like, Frank Smith's going to leave. What's his face? Bevel's going to get promoted. Then Bevell will leave after a year or two, and then Welker will be the next guy up. I'm telling you, that's why. And look at, I said this back then. I remember there's a question, and I'm gonna hold your feet to the fire, on this. McDaniel, people questioned whether he was a leader of men, and what did I used to point to back then, I used to say, because we used to have this conversation, and that was one of the things you worried about because you hadn't seen it yet. And I said, bro, all you got to do is look at Wes Welker. This man left the security of Kyle Shanahan to say, I believe in this guy. I'm following him. He took a lateral movement, basically, and said, I'm following this guy to Miami because I believe in his vision and what he's doing. That's like that to me showed me how much people believed in Mike McDaniel.
Well, I was coming more from players. I was coming more from my concern was coming from a player perspective. Listen, that needs to be, appreciated. Obviously everything you said was true about him leaving that comfort zone in San Francisco to come with Mike McDaniel. But at the end of the day, bro, people follow their boys everywhere. Like they're friends. They're close off the field, right? So we need to caution and not put too much stock in that. I was coming more, and that's the least of my when you're comparing coaching players on the field, getting players 53 men to buy into your vision, your message. That is the more important issue, as opposed to whatever coaches whether or not your boys are following you from one location to another one. So that's where I was coming from.
Don't try to twist it, bro, huh?
No. What do you mean twisted? That's not what I told you. Wait a minute. What do you mean? That's not what I said.
What I'm saying is,
privately,
let's not act like Wes Welker. It's Chris Forrester. Coming over here, right? Like
no, but
that's gonna help him. That's one of the assets that's gonna help him be a leader of men.
Well, yeah, I'm not. Listen, I'm not totally discounting that, but you brought up a specific private conversation that we had, right? And what I told you was,
I think you said that publicly. I don't think it's private. I think you said that publicly.
Oh well, yeah. I'm not tripping. I'm not tripping about you making that private conversation public. What I'm saying is, I'm referencing the conversation that we had, and what the concern level, the perspective that I was coming from was more on a player. Not a coach. I'm not worried about who followed. Your boys are gonna go with you wherever you go. Y'all are close. That's your boys. Salute. I love Wes Welker, but at the end of the day, I was more, again, the perspective that I was coming from was more on, getting the players, the 53-man roster.
No, I know what you
buy in.
I'm just telling you, that was an early indication to me that Wes Welker's a former player. The guy's gonna be a Hall of Famer. That was an early indication to me of if he would buy into him, I think players would, because of this guy bought in. He's one of those players they talk about where people went to play for Brady. They didn't go to play for Bill Belichick, right? It's kind of like Vrabel, right? Vrabel, same kind of way. If Vrabel buys into you, as a former player, that matters, right? It's not some jabroni, nerd who came up from, and I'm not taking a shot at McDaniel or anything, but it's not some jabroni nerd that came up, with his nose in the books, right? Wes Welker matters, and hey, I'm not. You're not wrong either. You're not wrong either.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that he don't. I'm just
explaining why that was an indication to me. That's
absolutely, absolutely. That was definitely eye opening. Again, he was in his comfort zone in San Francisco, but to completely uproot and follow your boy. Hey, yeah, that needs to be paid attention to. But at the end of the day, bro, your boys are gonna follow. Your boys are gonna follow you.
As a leader of men now, then where do you? Now that you've seen Hard Knocks, you've seen the post-game speeches.
Oh, a lot of that concern level I had when we initially hired him is almost gone. Right? We need to see how.
Remind people, it was only there because you hadn't seen it yet, right?
100%. How can I stick my neck out on the line for someone or when we haven't seen him in that?
I did, but that's
in that situation. Well, that's fine. But again,
I'm just fucking with you, bro.
No, and that's fine. Again, we can project.
You're one of the few that remember how badly I wanted him when we were looking for an OC.
100%. Right? But yeah, we all make projections. We all make projections, and we win. Some we win, some we lose. But I was just not willing.
Hold on, rephrase that. Most we win, few.
Absolutely, 100%. But I was not willing.
Admitting when I'm wrong, it happens. So it doesn't happen very often. So I got no.
100%, and I was just not willing at that time, considering again his personality. Right. Generally,
the quirkiness, right? Yeah.
Exactly. I was like, well. And I still, and even to this day, Mike McDaniel is one of the most difficult. I don't even watch his press conferences. I cannot sit and listen to this man for 30 minutes. I cannot do it, right? But at the end of the day, my focus is not on that. I've gotten past that because I'm more focused on the impact he's had on the field and on these players. So
absolutely.
And the reason why I kind of knew McDaniel was going to work is because I've seen examples of different styles of coaches that worked at a high level. Tony Dungy being one of the greatest examples. Again, Lovie Smith being another. You know, like, and we can go all the way back to, like, you know, Tom Landry, you know, with the Cowboys. He wasn't really, you know, out here like, you know, veins popping out the neck, yelling and screaming. Everything was so structured and well put together and well, you know, conveyed when it came to the message that everybody just respected it. So when Mike McDaniel came along, obviously the personality was a big wild card, because we're like, okay, how are, you know, 30-year-old men with children and a mortgage going to respond to, you know, Revenge of the Nerds? But look, as you can clearly see, like he had something already in place as far as his tenure throughout all the seasons that
you know what
you
know what I love? It looks like Jalen Ramsey sometimes has like no time for his quirkiness, but he don't give up. He just keep trying to break through that, like, that glass. You see that, eh?
Yeah.
I've been seeing that.
You don't give up, bro. He's like, I'll be your best friend by the end of this. Trust me, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's hilarious, bro. Like, he's
that's what makes him special.
And tell me you don't look like a young Shula on the sideline, boys. Like,
He does.
With the aviator?
Yeah. What impressed me about McDaniel, and I didn't think he was going to be able to have that from the jump, is I knew it was going to work on the field. A mind like that, it's going to work on the field. It's just the personality that he's managing, though, reason. You're talking about guys like Jalen Ramsey, right? Super Bowl champions. Tyreek Hill, Super Bowl champion. Guys with egos and pedigree in this league. To be a first-year or a first-time head coach in his second year. But it's just watching Hard Knocks, you get the perspective not only from the players, but the coaches respect him. It just seems like the strength and conditioning coaches, the cooks, the security. He has a pulse. He has a pulse on this whole organization, and that's what's impressive. I didn't think a young guy, to everybody's point, and a first-time head coach could come into an organization and truly change the culture. That's
winning has a lot to play with that, right? Has a lot.
Right.
You know, again, first year playoffs, right? And considering the job that he did to get this team to the playoffs, considering the rash of injuries,
both years,
devastated by both years, bro. And look at the job that he's done keeping his team afloat and even elevating the overall level of play with the team this year in 2023. So winning goes a long way, you know, in terms of earning that respect level to get people to really buy into you, the individual, right?
But to be fair, EM, and to Lewis's point about McDaniel having all the pulse of everybody in that environment. Think about Dan Campbell, right? With the Detroit Lions. There's something about authenticity that people just resonate with head coaches. Dan Campbell was boo-hoo crying in damn near all of the games that he lost early on in his career. And when you see how the Detroit Lions have responded this year,
we had him. I knew he was going to be special, bro. You knew that guy was going to be special.
Listen, I agree with that, but you can be as authentic as you can possibly be. If you're not winning, nobody is. You are going to get tuned out. People are not going to buy into what you're saying.
But Dan wasn't winning early on. That's what I'm getting at. There was a level of understanding. Like, you know what? He's not winning, but he's on to something. We can see it. It's clear. It's transparent. He's not hiding anything. So they kept buying into it, and eventually he cracked through that ceiling.
He's a 3-year.
It's kind of the same thing with McDaniel.
He's a 3-year coach. They did nothing virtually his first year. They were highly competitive, almost made the playoffs last year, and this year they won a division. So again, there's that. And I'm not discounting. Hey, I got like 5% of battery life.
Go plug it in, bro.
Hang on. Give me a minute. Y'all go ahead.
Go ahead, Ballgame, because you wanted to make a point.
Here's what I think the biggest thing is, that there was no ego with Mike coming in, because Mike went in the second year and did something that most coordinators or most head coaches probably wouldn't do, and he's gonna go out and get another head coach to come in and run my defense. I don't know shit about. He probably said to himself, "I'd have stood with these guys at some point. We don't have it on film, but I guarantee you, he stood in front of all of them and said, I don't know defense, but I know a guy that knows defense. And
Well,
I
he wanted
trust
him
that guy
last
to
year,
come in here and be
Ballgame.
able to.
He wanted him last year,
Right.
and it was Garfinkel. People don't realize it was Garfinkel and Greer that pushed that we keep Boyer. He wanted to make the change to Fangio right away.
Yeah.
And I think Crossman's going to be the next axe to fall. But anyways, go on, Ballgame.
So then my thing is, once you have a head coach that completely leaves his ego outside of the business space of what we gotta go and achieve, it makes it harder for other guys to walk around with that chip on their shoulder. They have to, and then at some point, take a real self-assessment and look and say, you know what? Shit, if he did it, I can do it too. Because it's what's best for the team. You see what I'm saying? And when he brought Fangio in, I think that sent the last bit of the shockwaves that, you know what? I'm here to win. I'm here to try to do my best to make everybody on this roster successful. All I need you guys to do is just buy in. And now you see it, right? I told you, I said early on, my biggest concern was, when were they going to gel into being a team? What would happen when they faced adversity? How would they bounce back? The Tennessee game was when it happened the most. We got shitted in the Eagles game, so everybody kind of chalked that up as that's the NFL with their narrative, and they took that one from us. But the Tennessee game and how they should have won that game, but they lost that game, and how they came back to bounce back after that game proved exactly everything that I needed to see from them in terms of, did they have the dog in them to come back when they know they let it get away and then go out and then still prove that they are the team that needs to be talked about and looked at as a contender. And they did that. But none of that happens. None of that happens if coach isn't holding himself accountable. You see it on the Hard Knocks. He's holding himself accountable first. He said there's about 15 things that he could have done differently that he screwed up in.
Right.
So it starts with me first as the coach. And if he's willing to stand there and do that, all those other guys and all the other players, all the other coaches have to go through the same process, because shit starts. Shit rolls downhill. Well, shit rolls downhill, but at the end of the day, he ain't wiping his ass and throwing it on them. He wiping his ass and just holding it and saying, "Listen, I got my shit right here. I know what I did. I fucked up on, but y'all gonna have to look at yourselves as well, right? And let's just be better from it." He said it's probably the best thing that could have happened to us. Which, some people didn't take that. Some people don't understand that, but I understand that coming from where he's at. Because if you beat Tennessee, then you don't necessarily have any game in front of you that's going to test you and push you and
with real sense of urgency.
Refocus.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was unfortunate. It was a necessary loss that we had to take to get these guys tuned back in and not listening to all the outside noise, but worrying about the guy next to you and making sure they're all good. You feel me? And
that's a fact.
I think, yeah, for as weird and quirky as Mike is, I think there's a lot of genius behind how he goes about interacting. He's gone from being, he's always he's a player's coach, but at the same time, he ain't one of these guys that's gonna be. He ain't able to stick his nose in Vic shit, bro. I guarantee you, he's not. Because he worried about keeping his offense from having it. He want that balance. He don't want the defense on the field too long. So they bitching and complaining because they've been accustomed to that. But when you think about how much Flores beat these guys down, bro, how tough he was, all the reports about how Flores ran the ship, man, that shit is exhausting. If you just can't,
therapist, right?
Yeah, Jalen. Yeah, Phillips had to go to a sports therapist, bro. Like, think about that, bro. Like, I can't laugh at practice. Like, if I'm trying to I'm trying to be upbeat and happy at practice, but then this guy coming over telling me focus. Like, motherfucker, it's practice. You know what my responsibility is. We've been doing it. We've done it. Like, come on, coach. Like, let's have a little fun. You know what I'm saying? Damn, it's at the end of the day, it's still a game.
Let me build my camaraderie.
That's a great point, Ballgame, because even in this, and I'm not trying to ruin it for you reason, but just in this latest installment of Hard Knocks, McDaniel was talking to Cater Cole at practice on the sideline. And he told Cater, hey, if you don't see the enthusiasm, if you don't see the practice going a certain way, this is your team. Get everybody ready. And I thought it was very, again, I know McDaniel's relationship with Tua and Reek and Waddle and those guys, but for him to be going up to guys like Cater undrafted guys, second-year guys, and telling them, hey, this is your team, take charge. That just shows the maturation that he has as a coach, right? Again, that goes to my point.
Yeah.
He's not touching he's touching everybody in that organization. He's making everybody feel like they're part of this. And I listen, man, I think
because they are.
Because they are. You see what I'm saying? So, bro, if you're a Dolphin fan, I don't know how. Like, if you ain't impressed or you ain't happy or satisfied with this team, you might as well find the local bridge, whatever city you live in, and jump off it. Because I'm telling you now, this shit ain't getting better than this right now. Like,
well, bro, you remember like what you're talking about? Remember what he even did that? What was it, last episode with Duke Riley?
Absolutely,
right?
bro.
Right.
Went down.
Yep.
Like he let them know this is your team. You're the communicator right now. You got to get them amped up. You got to get them fired up. Like, yo, man. Like the great thing is he's an actual he's a pretty fucking good motivator too. And I don't know how you can't listen to Anthony Campanelli and not want to run through a wall, eh? Like Anthony
I love that.
Absolutely.
Bro, Campanelli's another one, man.
I love that, man. Oh, man, we're in good hands. We're in good hands, man. We're in good hands, and you know, God willing, man, we get healthy at the right time because we are gaining momentum as a team at the right time. But if we can get healthy with the momentum that we're gaining as an offense, defense, and special teams, bro, let's see what this Ravens game is going to unfold into, man, because this is going to be the game of the year, bro. I got a feeling it's about to be, man. I got a feeling about that.
Game of the year, huh?
I think so.
Do you think this game dictates the MVP of the league?
Yeah, that's what we talked about. We talked about that earlier, because look at this is a big win under Tua's belt. I mean, everyone's going to talk about. Yeah, and everyone's going to talk about Josh Allen's 40 touchdowns, but how much have that 40 touchdowns impacted their win-loss record?
Right.
Right. I talked about it earlier. Like I brought it up earlier before you joined, bro. Like if you look at during the Tua era, our win percentage with Tua Tagovailoa is 65.3%. When Tua's not on the field, our win percentage is 42.8%. And that's like during his whole era, bro. Like,
man, wow, that's crazy.
He's definitely the most valuable player. You know what I mean?
He makes the clock tick. He makes the clock tick, man. That's what he does, man. So
yeah.
But yeah, Reason, man. I'm a duck out on this, man. This
where's did EM dip? Right?
I think his phone died. Yeah, I think his phone died.
All right, well, let's wrap it up, man. It's been 2 hours and 40 minutes, man. So if you got anything you guys want to add, go ahead.
I think the important thing for people to remember, man, in sports, it is okay to be passionate about the teams you love and and show them all the love and support that you can garner for them. But in the same sense, man, they're still human beings, right? And we're all imperfect, man. We make mistakes. Things don't always happen sometimes the way we expect them to. But when you look at the bigger and larger picture of what this Dolphins franchise has gone through over the last 4 decades, I would say that's a lot, about as long as I've been following them. Where we are right now, man, I've never, ever been this giddy about this team. Now, I'm cautious because I don't want to set myself up for some huge letdown, but at the same time, I understand this game. This team is I'm just saying this team is amazingly set up to be able to win it. Like we're not perfect by any means, but we have the perfect pieces in place to be able to on any given Sunday be perfect and pull off a win. And I think that people really need to look at that and just embrace that instead of all of the negative that people still want to surround the team with, because the negative energy takes away from the positive, and at some point the ability to be able to sustain yourself is all predicated off of the flow of the energy around you, and we trying to eliminate the negatives. So if you don't really believe and you don't want to be a part of the positive train that we got going, stay off on the somewhere, and and just figure that out internally, because there's nothing about this Dolphins team that shouldn't have you over the top, so excited about the possibilities, man. From where we came in that that tank season with Flores to where we are now, it's a night and day experience, and anybody crazy enough to not want to be a part of it, it just don't make a lot of sense to me. So,
Martin, go ahead, bro.
No, man, ditto to Ballgame, man. He's hitting the nail on the head. And bottom line is, man, these are the scenarios we want to be in, where everything is in our hands. Every outcome is in our hands. And whether it be we control our own destiny again. And whether it be trying to play and vouch for the number one seed, go get it. Prepare for it, plan for it, get ready for it. Make sure you're ready for either outcome. And the more you keep doing this, the more momentum you build in those do or die games that McDaniel keeps bringing up. That's what we're building towards, the playoffs, and we've made it. We punched our ticket. Now all these last two games is let's see how we play against the best competition in the AFC, and we'll see exactly where we stand once the playoffs turn around. So I love it, man.
Louis, anything to add?
Man, listen, I can't follow Ballgame and Martin, man. They hit, I mean, they ain't nothing else to say, man. I'm gonna enjoy this ride. I'm just to Ballgame's point though, from where we were 2020 to where we sit now, basically at the end of the year 2023, it's amazing the job that not only Chris Greer has done, but McDaniel, the player. It's just a credit, and it's a joy to watch this team every Sunday, man. So I'm excited for Sunday. I think I can't remember the last time we had 11 wins with 2 games to go, already punched our ticket into the playoffs, and now basically we're fine-tuning everything, getting ready for a strong playoff push, man. So, again, listen, I'm excited. Man, I'm just excited, man. There's nothing else to say. It's just fins up, fellas, man, and then let's enjoy the ride.
Man, absolutely massive game. I guess a couple minutes ago, because I was exporting the All-22, and EM said he's backstage, but his phone must have died because now he's not responding and he's not backstage. So we're going to be back tomorrow night, and we'll be breaking down the All-22 of Tua Tagovailoa. So be out on the lookout for that. Thursday, I'll be live with Neil, Fin Too Deep. Friday, we'll preview this game, and then, it's going down on New Year's Eve, man. So we'll keep y'all posted. There will be a post game, whether it's a Dolphins After Dark at some point or whether I go live right after for a fifth quarter post game show. We'll keep y'all updated. But boys, appreciate it. It was fun. Conversation was good, and I look forward to doing this more regularly with you, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Man, I think
for sure,
we got something here, boys. So I appreciate y'all. Smash that like button on the way out, and we will see y'all on the next one. Fins up.